Chapter 903, Retribution is Here. Xiaolan and her husband had no relatives or friends abroad, and in the hasty moments before the plane crash, they left a will entrusting their young daughter Chao Lingrui to Dr. Jiang, hoping Dr. Jiang would take her back to China to find her sister, Zhao Qing. After receiving this news, Dr. Jiang was ecstatic. She swiftly handled Zhao Lan's affairs and set off for China with Chao Lingrui. At the time, Chao Lingrui was just a 7-year-old child. With her parents both dead, Dr. Jiang became her only support. While her parents were alive, she was the cherished pearl in their palms, always able to have whatever she wanted. After they died, she became an orphan, alone and helpless. Her formerly gentle aunt suddenly showed her true colors, subjecting her to beatings and scoldings, mockery and sarcasm. Even Jiang Xiamen, her best friend, began to bully her. Young Chao Lingrui didn't understand why they had become this way. Faced with punches and kicks, she dared not fight back. All she wanted was for Dr. Jiang to quickly take her to Beijing, because her mother had mentioned she had an aunt there. Finally, Dr. Jiang took Chao Lingrui aboard a ship bound for their homeland. Chao Lingrui thought she had finally seen hope, but little did she know, this was just the beginning of her nightmare. Dr. Jiang despised Zhao Lan deeply, she naturally wouldn't bring Chao Lingrui back to a life of comfort. As it so happened, Jiang Xiamen was about the same age as Chao Lingrui, and so Dr. Jiang schemed a plan to swap the two girls. That night, after brutally beating Chao Lingrui, she stuffed her into a sack and threw her into the deep sea. The sea waters engulfed Chao Lingrui's body. With this, Dr. Jiang finally got her revenge. What good was Zhao Lan's family background? What use was her beauty? What was the point of her marrying well? She still lost to herself. She couldn't even protect her own child. She was utterly defeated. Thinking of this, Dr. Jiang felt an immense satisfaction. Looking up at Madame Zheng, she laughed and said, "You and your stupid sister are the same. You have both lost to me. Ha ha ha. Both have lost to me. Do you know how your niece Chao Lingrui died? She drowned in the sea. Just before she died, she begged me like a dog, saying she didn't want to die." Ha! Dr. Jiang laughed loudly and then said, "Oh, and do you know who Jiang Xiamen is? Jiang Xiamen is my daughter. Zhao Qing, the daughter you've raised for so many years, is actually Jiang Yan's daughter. Xianjing is also my granddaughter. Zhao Qing, not only have you lost, but you've lost miserably. Your sister Zhao Lan's spirit in heaven will never forgive you. If I am to go to hell, then you'll surely go to hell too. You'll accompany me down there." Watching everything unfold to this point, Zheng Lingling panicked. She hadn't expected Dr. Jiang to reveal everything. She still wanted to lead a good life. She was still set to inherit everything from the Zheng family. She was the daughter of Madame Zheng. She was. "No. Mom." Zheng Lingling clutched desperately at Madame Zheng's sleeves. "Mom. I am your daughter. I am Chao Lingrui. Don't listen to that malicious woman's nonsense. Xianjing is also your biological granddaughter. Don't be swayed by this madwoman's ramblings. She wants to harm me. Mom, don't believe her. Get out. You get out of my sight." Madame Zheng couldn't bear to look directly at Zheng Lingling and the rest of Zheng Xianjing's family. Every time she saw them, she was reminded of her sister and brother-in-law's unjust deaths. "Mom." Zheng Lingling held tightly onto Madame Zheng's legs, refusing to let go. "I want leave. I am your daughter. Xianjing is the heir of the Zheng family, I want go. You've brought such misery upon our family, yet you still have the face to say such things." Madame Zheng kicked Zheng Lingling furiously, several times in a row. Madame Zheng showed no mercy, leaving Zheng Lingling bruised and swollen. Grandma, please don't hit my mom." Zheng Xianjing rushed over to embrace Madame Zheng. Although Zheng Xianjing too had followed in Zheng Lingling's footsteps in committing misdeeds, she never knew that Zheng Lingling was actually Dr. Jiang's daughter. This revelation was like a surreal dream. I am not your grandma. Madame Zheng pushed Zheng Xianjing away. Zheng Xianjing fell to the ground, tearfully looking up at Madame Zheng. Grandma, Madame Zheng had never treated her like this before. Suddenly faced with this turn of events, Zheng Xianjing couldn't cope with the shock. Dr. Jiang laughed and said, "Qing, what's wrong with you? How can you fail to recognize your own granddaughter?" Jiang Yan. Madame Zheng lashed out fiercely, grasping Dr. Jiang by the throat. "You are not human. You beast. You deserve to die." Chapter 904, Retribution is Here. _2. Old Mrs. Zheng was fuming with rage. Thinking of her young niece and her sister and brother-in-law who died young, she wished she could kill the Dr. Jiang. Dr. Jiang smiled and said, "I am already over 60 years old. I've lived enough. I've lived longer than Zhao Lan. I am not wronged. Kill me, Zhao Qing, just kill me." Dr. Jiang was deliberately provoking old Mrs. Zheng. Although she was suspected of murder, if old Mrs. Zheng really strangled her to death, old Mrs. Zheng would also be legally responsible. Anyway, she was facing a dead end, and if she could drag Zhao Qing down with her before she died, it would be worth it. "Grandma, stay calm, don't fall for her trap. The law won't let her get away with it," Ni Yang pulled old Mrs. Zheng back. Old Mrs. Zheng was sobbing uncontrollably. Ni Tsuihua immediately supported old Mrs. Zheng and comforted her softly. Although she had been prepared, Ni Tsuihua still hadn't expected things to turn out so twisted. Zheng Lingling was actually Dr. Jiang's daughter. That was simply unbelievable. Old Mrs. Zheng turned her head to look at Zheng Suyu, "And you? Suyu. You've disappointed me so much, how could you poison Yang Yang? If Yang Yang hadn't noticed something was wrong, she would be dead by now. Why would you conspire with outsiders to harm Yang Yang? Yang Yang is your own grandniece. How could you bring yourself to do it? Why did you do this? Why?" Old Mrs. Zheng looked at Zheng Suyu, her emotions on the verge of collapse. These people. One of them was the daughter she had raised for many years, another was the son-in-law she had personally selected, one was the granddaughter she had watched grow up, another was an old friend of many years, and another was her own sister-in-law. She could have never dreamed that they would betray her. When Ni Yang proposed this plan, old Mrs. Zheng had thought Ni Yang's idea was absurd. They were her own family. How could she have such suspicions about her own relatives? It was only after Ni Yang's earnest persuasion that old Mrs. Zheng reluctantly agreed to the matter, and she had instructed Ni Yang to apologize to everyone if they couldn't probe anything. But reality had slapped her hard in the face. "Sister, I'm sorry." Zheng Suyu's face was streaked with tears. "I wronged Yang Yang. She thought she was not to be trusted because she was young. But she never expected that Ni Yang was so much better than her. She could only succumb in front of Dr. Jiang. But Ni Yang was able to pull through by her own strength, and turn the tides." "Suyu, why did you poison Yang Yang?" Old Mr. Zheng looked at Zheng Suyu and said, "You are not in cahoots with Jiang Yan, right? Did Jiang Yan threaten you? What did she use to threaten you?" "I." Zheng Suyu bit her lip, glanced back at Dr. Jiang, and didn't dare to tell the truth. "Speak." Old Mr. Zheng shook Zheng Suyu's shoulders. Zheng Suyu opened her mouth and then said, "She didn't threaten me, I did it voluntarily." Dr. Jiang had accomplices outside. If she confessed everything, that child would be doomed. At this moment, she couldn't provoke Dr. Jiang. Dr. Jiang sneered, "Zheng Jun, you pride yourself on being noble and never doing anything underhanded. You'd never expect that your own sister is a murderer, right? And she wanted to kill your own granddaughter. How does that feel? If there's a hell, there were so many people to accompany her down to its boiling oil cauldrons. With such company on the road to the Yellow Springs, what did she have to fear? Old Mr. Zheng was furious. Speak. Just speak. Zheng Suyu bit her lips tightly, refusing to say a single word. Ni Yang took out a newspaper from the table and handed it to Zheng Suyu. Auntie, in fact, that child died 25 years ago. Died? Zheng Suyu's eyes widened as she felt completely unable to breathe. Yang, you're kidding with me, she said. Ni Yang sighed. I'm not joking with you, she's really dead, just look at this newspaper and you'll understand everything. Zheng Suyu took the newspaper, trembling all over. Dead. Truly dead. The person she had been desperately protecting for 25 years had become nothing but a skeleton, and she was still in the dark. Tears soaked the newspaper. Bao bao, bao bao. My bao bao. Zheng Suyu reached out to touch the black and white photo on the paper, crying her heart out. These 2 golden bracelets were placed on Bao Bao's wrist by her own hands on Bao Bao's first birthday. Her Bao Bao was still so little. Chapter 905, Retribution is Here. _3. Dr. Jiang's face subtly changed as he looked at Ni Yang. You've even found out about this? Ni Yang's gaze was cold. If you don't want people to know, you shouldn't have done it. Ha! The corners of Dr. Jiang's mouth were filled with a mocking curve. I still underestimated you after all. If Zheng Lingling and Zheng Xianjing were half as smart as Ni Yang, their family wouldn't have fallen to such a fate. What child? Mr. Zheng was momentarily unable to react. Ni Yang turned to look at Zheng Suyu. You'd better let grandmother say it. Bao Bao is my child. Zheng Suyu clutched the side of the newspaper with the photo, pressing it tightly against her face. My poor child. Bao Bao. Mr. Zheng was taken aback. Suyu. Do you understand what you're saying? Zheng Suyu had never married, how could she possibly have a child? I'm very lucid, brother. I'm very lucid now. Zheng Suyu cried as she recounted the past. Back in the day, Zheng Suyu was not only talented and known as the Belle of Beijing for her intellect, she was also quite beautiful. There's no telling how many talented men bent over backward for her. Those who pursued Zheng Suyu lined up from the gates of Sijio City directly to the gates of the Zheng family home. But a talented woman generally longs for romance. Zheng Suyu looked down on the sons of Sijio City's nobility. Instead, she fell for a poor boy of humble birth. The poor boy was really poor, but he was also really handsome, and he had a sweet-talking mouth. They hadn't known each other for 3 months when Zheng Suyu gave herself to him. Men have a bad tendency, once they get what they want, they no longer cherish it. After getting together with Zheng Suyu, the poor boy continued his womanizing ways, relying on his looks to flirt around and embrace women from one side to the other. Zheng Suyu was a talented woman with integrity, naturally unable to tolerate such a person, so she cut off all ties with the poor boy. After suffering from a broken heart, the Belle of Beijing lost her former glory, became sullen, and could never recover. It wasn't until one day she discovered she was pregnant. As an unwed woman from a distinguished family, she obviously couldn't publicize her pregnancy, so she made up an excuse to temporarily leave the Zheng family until she gave birth to the child and returned home after its first month. After quietly giving birth, she rented a room outside, hired a wet nurse, and visited her child every few days until one day when she returned home after seeing her child, she happened to see Dr. Jiang and Zheng Lingling quietly plotting something. Because Zheng Suyu had already had her suspicions about these two, she quietly went to the side to listen in. Unexpectedly, she overheard an earth-shattering secret. Turns out, Zheng Lingling was not Zhao Lan's daughter. Zheng Lingling was Dr. Jiang's daughter. The real Chao Lingrui had long been thrown into the sea by Dr. Jiang. Moreover, Zheng Suyu overheard that Dr. Jiang had instructed Zheng Lingling to put slow-acting poison in Granny Zheng's chicken soup. They wanted to poison Granny Zheng to death. Upon hearing this, Zheng Suyu was scared stiff. As the belle of Beijing, the greatest blow in her life had been being betrayed by a man. She had never encountered something like this before. For a while, she didn't know what to do. In her panic, she knocked over an antique vase beside her. Zheng Suyu immediately ran away, intending to tell Granny Zheng and Mr. Zheng about the plot. Unfortunately, Granny Zheng and Mr. Zheng were out on business that day, and Zheng Suyu waited a long time without them returning. At this time, Dr. Jiang came with a bowl of medicine, smiling at Zheng Suyu. "The wet nurse taking care of your daughter is my sister-in-law." Zheng Suyu was stunned at the moment. Her mind was consumed with why Dr. Jiang knew about this. What Zheng Suyu didn't know was that from the moment she gave birth to that child, Dr. Jiang had been plotting. Knowing that Zheng Suyu was looking for a wet nurse, she arranged for her own sister-in-law to go. She was leaving herself a way out. In case she was caught one day in the Zheng family, she would still have a way to turn things around. Dr. Jiang had been scheming for 2 years, and finally, one day, the opportunity to use this information arose. To protect her young daughter, Zheng Suyu had no choice but to drink the medicine. Day after day, year after year, Zheng Lingling brought her a bowl of medicine. Day by day, Zheng Suyu's psychological state deteriorated, becoming gaunt and, eventually, mad, unrecognizable by anyone. The Zheng family thought she was troubled by love, but in reality, she was being poisoned into madness. At this point, Zheng Suyu's tears streamed down her face. Chapter 906, Retribution is Here. _4. Suyu. Why didn't you tell me these things? I am your brother. Old Master Zheng's voice was filled with sorrow. Foolish. Suyu. You've been too foolish. If Zheng Suyu had spoken out earlier, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Zheng Suyu cried, I didn't know how to tell you, my Bao Bao was in their hands. If I had told you, Bao Bao would have lost his life. At that moment, she couldn't care about anything else. All she wanted was to protect her child. But you still failed to protect that child. A year later, that child met a violent death, said Ni Yang in a shallow tone. If you had told Grandma and Grandpa about this earlier, perhaps that child might not have died. Just like this time, if you had trusted me, I wouldn't have had to resort to blowing things up. Have you ever thought, if I didn't have medical skills, today it wouldn't have been as simple as just being blown up? Ni Yang had died once before. She valued life more than anyone. Although she knew Zheng Suyu had her difficulties, she still couldn't let it go. It was so close. She had nearly died. Zheng Suyu was stunned. She seemed like a statue. She was too cowardly. Not only had she caused the death of her own daughter, but she had also nearly caused Ni Yang's death. Yang, I'm sorry. Zheng Suyu cried out in apology, then suddenly pulled out a dagger from nowhere and charged toward Dr. Jiang. Bitch! Give me back my daughter. Why did you kill my Bao Bao? She was only 2 years old. Just 2. She was going to avenge her daughter. Dr. Jiang didn't dodge. Instead, she looked at Zheng Suyu with a smile. Come on. Kill me. Stab me here. Zheng Suyu, if you're still a mother, then hurry up and avenge your pitiful daughter. Otherwise, I will look down on you. Already at the peak of her rage, Zheng Suyu's anger was further ignited by these words. Old Master Zheng hugged Zheng Suyu tightly. Suyu, don't be impulsive. I'm going to kill her. Suyu. Brother is begging you. Please don't do anything foolish. Old Master Zheng knelt down before Zheng Suyu. The Zheng family was already shattered. He couldn't let anything happen to Zheng Suyu. Brother, don't do this. Zheng Suyu also knelt down, and the siblings sobbed together. Dr. Jiang sat on the ground, laughing wildly. That's when the sound of police sirens came from outside. Several police officers, led by the butler, walked into the side hall. Due to the complexity of the case, everyone present was taken to the police station. Zheng Lingling, Sun Wu, and the family of 3 Wuxia Xianxia refused to admit their guilt regarding murder and poisoning, vehemently defending themselves. However, Dr. Jiang confessed without any reservation. She knew she could not escape this time. After so many years of luxurious living, she was content. Although Zheng Lingling and the Sun Wu family of 3 did not confess, Ni Yang had already collected solid evidence, which, along with the many witnesses, made it impossible for them to deny the charges. In the first trial, Dr. Jiang, Zheng Lingling, and Sun Wu were sentenced to death for murder and attempted murder by poisoning. Wuxia Xianxia was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment for attempted murder and poisoning. Zheng Suyu and Old Master Zheng went to Hospital No. 68's mortuary to retrieve the child's body. After 25 years, they saw the pitiful child again. Zheng Suyu's emotions completely collapsed. Curled up in the small freezer due to the preservation, her body turned purple from the cold. Bao bao. Bao bao. Zheng Suyu cared no more, immediately holding the child in her arms. In this world, a mother will never scorn her own child. Even if the child had become a cold corpse. Old Master Zheng sighed deeply and forcibly separated her from the child. Suyu, don't do this, the child is already gone. After the child was cremated and buried, Old Master Zheng hired a monk to perform an elaborate ritual for the child, hoping for her quick reincarnation. Following this incident, Zheng Suyu's health, which had been improving, began to rapidly deteriorate. A few days later, she moved into the nearby nunnery to begin a life of repentance and constant companionship with the ancient Buddha. In her life, she had done too many wrong things. She was atoning for herself. And for the salvation of that child. The series of events that befell the Zheng family quickly became the talk of the elite circles, evoking much lamentation. No one expected Zheng Suyu to have a child out of wedlock. Even less could they have imagined that Zheng Lingling and Dr. Jiang would commit such heinous acts. Chapter 907, Retribution is Here. _5. Dr. Jiang, Zheng Lingling, and Sun Wu were executed that day. Old Mrs. Zheng bought lots of joss paper, took it to the crossroad, and burned it. Sister, brother-in-law, Lingling, I've wronged your family of 3. It was my lack of discernment, fostering a tiger to invite trouble. Today is the day that ungrateful family was shot. Sister, brother-in-law, Lingling, can you see this? Strangely enough, though it had been clear skies, rain began to fall in the afternoon. The rain continued for 2 days. By the second day, the weather cleared up. With such a major incident in the Zheng family, Ni Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui feared that staying in the old Zheng house might be too emotionally painful for the 2 elderly, as every corner reminded them of Zheng Lingling, Sun Wu, and Zheng Xianxia. Thus, they suggested that the elders move to Jinghua village with them. The roads to Jinghua village had been fixed, making transportation convenient, and the village had fresh air. Plus, the Ni family's house was well renovated and more comfortable to live in. Old Mr. Zheng and Old Mrs. Zheng were very willing. That very day, they dismissed all the servants of the Zheng family and moved to Jinghua village. Ni Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui had moved from Jinghua village to the Zheng house in winter, and now, they were moving back in the summertime. Learning that Ni Yang and the others had moved back, the villagers of Jinghua village were very happy. Worried they might have nothing to eat upon just returning, each household brought over a lot of food. Old Mrs. Zheng said with a smile, the people here are really warm-hearted. Old Mr. Zheng nodded, indeed. Seeing that Old Mr. Zheng and Old Mrs. Zheng had moved over, Ni Yang said, why don't we bring Grandma over too? Ni Yang was referring to Old Mrs. Shengguan. The Shengguan family only had Old Mrs. Shengguan by herself, with Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi living outside. They usually only came back on weekends, and sometimes they didn't return for weeks. Although Shengguan Dehui, Ni Tsuehua, and Ni Yang visited her every week, rain or shine, the old lady was inevitably lonely. You get lonely when you're old. Isn't it just about having some liveliness? Since the Ni family had plenty of rooms with their house, even 10 or 8 more people could fit. Hearing this, Ni Tsuhua immediately nodded. Yang really thinks of everything. I've been so busy I didn't even consider it. Your dad and I will go and bring Grandma over now. Old Mrs. Zheng and old Mr. Zheng also nodded in agreement. That's right, that's right. Ting Ting, don't busy yourself, hurry and go with Dehui to bring your in-laws over. Ni Yang then said, I can drive to pick her up, you both stay home and get things ready. Ni Tsuhua exclaimed in surprise, Yang, when did you learn to drive? She didn't even know. Ni Yang smiled and said, Mo Qishan taught me. She had to bring up Mo Qishan to avoid her mother's suspicion. Oh. Ni Tsuhua didn't suspect anything and continued, then drive slowly and be careful on the road. I will, don't worry. Old Mr. Zheng called out to Ni Yang, wait a moment. What is it, Grandpa? Ni Yang turned back to look at old Mr. Zheng. Old Mr. Zheng continued, Yang, your grandma will be here soon. To avoid calling someone wrong in the future, you should call us Grandpa and Grandma from now on. Old Mrs. Zheng nodded, I think what your grandpa said makes sense. Although the custom in Beijing is that children born to daughters with no sons in the house should call their grandparents Grandpa and Grandma, old Mr. Zheng and old Mrs. Zheng didn't care about these things. Grandpa and Grandma, Grandpa and Grandma, as long as there is kinship, it's all the same. Okay, Grandpa and Grandma, Ni Yang quickly changed her way of addressing them. Ni Yang didn't buy a sedan. This car belonged to the Zheng family. Since both elders had moved in, it was inconvenient not to have a car. Just as Ni Yang opened the car door, Gooden came running over from afar, Sister Ni Yang. You're back. Everyone just said you were back, and I didn't believe it. Gooden. Ni Yang reached out and touched Gooden's little head. Sister Ni Yang, is this your car? Gooden asked. Ni Yang shook her head, no, it belongs to my grandpa and grandma. Gooden laughed and said, if it's your grandpa and grandma's, isn't that just the same as yours? After all, you're all family. Sister Ni Yang, you're really silly. Ni Yang said, Gooden, it's not the same. Only things earned by one's own effort can truly be considered one's own. This car wasn't bought by Sister Ni Yang herself, so it doesn't belong to Sister Ni Yang. Chapter 908, Retribution is here. _6. Oh, I see. Gooden nodded, not quite understanding, then asked, Sister Ni Yang, can you still drive? Ni Yang nodded. Wow! Gooden exclaimed with admiration, Sister Ni Yang, you're amazing. My older sister can't even drive. Ni Yang opened the car door, do you want to get in? Shall I take you for a ride? Gooden hesitated, then said, Sister Ni Yang, you have things to do, I won't bother you. Ni Yang smiled and said, I'm going to the city to pick up my grandma and bring her home. If you're free, you can join me. It'll be nice to chat on the road, and anyway, my grandma is no stranger. Sure. Gooden was thrilled and immediately got into the car, sitting in the passenger seat. This was Gooden's first time in a sedan, excitedly touching this and looking at that. Having a rare chance to touch a car, Ni Yang immediately showed Gooden some driving techniques. Gooden was so excited he almost went crazy. Ah! Sister Ni Yang, you're so amazing. I feel like I'm flying. Sister Ni Yang, be careful, there's a car up ahead. There was a sharp turn ahead, and another sedan too. It looked like they were about to crash, but Ni Yang didn't slow down in the slightest. A dashing fishtail. Swish! The car passed the bend. Man! That car was incredible, said the driver in the car across, sitting stunned at the wheel. He even thought he was dreaming. "What, don't you recognize your junior sister anymore?" A gentle male voice came from the back seat. Yes, sitting in the driver's seat was Wang Ziki. Hearing this, Wang Ziki's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really? Are you serious?" He continued, "Master Du, you're not joking with me, right? His junior sister was that good?" Wang Ziki had been driving for several years and considered himself skilled, but he couldn't even see the shadow of that car just now. "Why would I joke with you?" Master Du turned a page of the Buddhist scripture, his expression indifferent. Ni Yang was truly impressive. He knew every detail of the Zheng family incident. He had originally planned to help Ni Yang, especially since he had promised Immortal to take good care of her. But before he could act, Ni Yang had already handled it. She didn't need anyone's help. She alone was enough to protect her loved ones. Wang Ziki swallowed hard. "My junior sister is really amazing." Soon, the car stopped at the entrance of the delightful restaurant. During this time, Master Du occasionally came to this restaurant just because the food was delicious. Wang Ziki opened the car door. Master Du put on a black hat and got out of the car, bending forward. Wang Ziki followed closely. Just then, a figure ran from the side and accidentally bumped into Master Du. It was an 8 or 9-year-old boy, who was also frightened, sitting on the ground with his face pale, looking up at Master Du, almost crying. "Whose child are you? Why are you so clumsy?" Wang Ziki scolded. Wang Ziki was tall and striking, with brows like knife slashes, and his frowning, stern look terrified the little boy, making him burst into tears. I'm sorry." A 17 or 18-year-old girl ran over from the side. "My little brother is young and clueless, he accidentally bumped into you." "Big sister," the little boy quickly hid behind her. "Erlong, I've told you before to be careful when walking, not to run, and yet you treat my words as nothing. Now apologize to these two uncles immediately." This little boy was indeed Wu Erlong, and the young girl was Wu Yenyun. Under Ni Yang's guidance, the construction business run by Wu Jinshu and Yen Erju, husband and wife, was doing quite well. Life was getting better. Wu Erlong, timid by nature, just knew to cover his face and cry, not daring to apologize. Left with no choice, Wu Yenyun had to apologize to Master Du. "Sir, I'm really sorry. My little brother knows he's wrong, please forgive him." Only then did Master Du really look at Wu Yenyun. The girl was quite striking, and her demeanor impressive, reminding him immediately of Ni Yang. But if it were Ni Yang, she definitely wouldn't have handled it this way. She couldn't stand to apologize for others. Master Du didn't know why he was so certain that Ni Yang wouldn't do such a thing, but he was thoroughly convinced of it. "Let it be," Master Du said slowly. "Ziki, let's go." That voice, it sounds familiar, thought Wu Yenyun, looking up just in time to see Master Du's profile. His refined appearance revealed a hint of sharpness. Wasn't this the man who gave her 100 yuan last time? Wu Yenyun had a good memory, she wouldn't have remembered wrong. "Sir, please wait." Wu Yenyun called after Master Du. "What is it?" Wang Ziki stretched out his hand to stop Wu Yenyun. She moved past Wang Ziki, looking at Master Du. "Sir, do you remember me? We've met before, and you gave me 100 yuan. Could you tell me where you live, so I can bring you the money from home?" Now that her family was financially better off, Wu Yenyun wanted to return the 100 yuan to him, otherwise, she felt like she owed someone something. "I don't remember," Master Du said, playing with his Buddha beads. Chapter 909, Teaching You a Lesson. Di had seen countless people in his life, so why would he waste time on a young girl he'd only met once? He really didn't remember Wu Yenyun. Wu Yenyun continued, "It was probably a little over 2 months ago, you were sitting in your car and had your driver give me 100 yuan, don't you remember?" Di frowned and thought for a moment. There seemed to be a faint impression, the last incident was my driver's fault, the money was compensation to you, you don't need to return it. Having said this, Di turned his head to Wang Ziki, let's go. Okay, Wang Ziki nodded. Wait. Wu Yenyun hurried to catch up with the two men's pace. 100 yuan might be less than a drop in the ocean for Dui, but to Wu Yenyun, it was a fortune. Before she hadn't encountered Dui, it would have been fine, but now that she had, she couldn't just take 100 yuan from someone for nothing. Hearing this, Duye's face showed a hint of impatience. He held a high position and the last thing he lacked was the entanglement of women, and the thing he feared most was also the entanglement of women. Young lady, please don't follow our Mr. Du anymore. Wang Ziki noticed Duye's displeasure and quickly stepped in front of Wu Yenyun. Wu Yenyun was also a bit embarrassed. I just want to return the money to this gentleman, Wang Ziki continued. If you really want to return the money, then take this 100 yuan and give it to someone in need, that will count as having returned it. Can you make decisions for that gentleman? Wu Yenyun hesitated. Wang Ziki was somewhat speechless. This young girl looked young and pretty, but who would have thought she'd be so long-winded, almost as much as his own mother. Dui, twirling his Buddha beads, turned back to look at Wu Yenyun, just do as he said. Okay, Wu Yenyun nodded. Dui and Wang Ziki walked straight inside. Wu Yenyun watched Duye's retreating figure, her heart felt as if it had been hit by something, and ripples spread out in circles within her chest. An indescribable feeling. Not until Wang Ziki and Duye's figures had disappeared into the distance did Wu Yenyun turn around to walk back. Erlong, are you okay? I'm fine. Wu Erlong had been frightened, wiping away tears with his sleeve. Wu Yenyun squatted down and patted the dust off Wu Erlong. How many times have I told you, don't run when you walk, watch the road. Today it was those two gentlemen being reasonable. If you met someone not so reasonable, or a frail elder, then you would be in deep trouble. Big sister, I know, Wu Erlong nodded, looking wronged. On the other side. Ni Yang brought Gooden to the Shengguan family. Old Madame Shengguan was watering the flowers in the garden. Even though the Shengguan family had many servants, the old lady still cut a solitary figure. Grandma. Hearing Ni Yang's voice, old Madame Shengguan's grip on the watering can paused. Today was Tuesday, normally Ni Yang would only come back on weekends. She must have heard wrong. Old Madame Shengguan continued to water the flowers. Grandma. It wasn't until Ni Yang, with Gooden, came to old Madame Shengguan that she realized this was not an illusion. Yang. Old Madame Shengguan dropped the water sprayer in excitement. Ni Yang reached out and hugged old Madame Shengguan. Grandma, I've missed you so much. Old people love to hear sweet nothings. Hearing this, old Madame Shengguan was overjoyed. Ni Yang then said, Oh, Grandma, this is Gooden, he also lives in Jianghu village, he's my good friend. Hearing this, Gooden was thrilled. He was only 12 this year, still a child in many people's eyes. How could adults and children be good friends? But Sister Ni Yang was different, she actually introduced him to others, saying that he was her good friend. He was Sister Ni Yang's good friend. Gooden was delighted beyond belief, and quickly greeted old Madame Shengguan. Hello, Grandma. I'm Gooden, my full name is Li Changsho, but you can just call me Gooden. That's a good name, Gooden. Old Madame Shengguan laughed. Come on, follow Grandma inside. They followed old Madame Shengguan into the villa of the Shengguan family. The Shengguan family's villa was beautifully decorated. But Gooden had already seen Ni Yang's house decorated and wasn't surprised now. After entering, old Madame Shengguan had a servant bring a bunch of delicious food. Gooden was a bit shy to reach out. Ni Yang grabbed a handful of teddy bear biscuits and stuffed them into Gooden's hand. Gooden, no need to be reserved at Sister Ni Yang's house, just take whatever you want to eat. Chapter 9-10, Teach You How to Be Human. _2. Shengguan Grandma said with a smile, Your sister Ni Yang is right, Gooden, don't be overly polite, take whatever you want to eat. Thank you, Grandma. Shangguan Grandma continued, Yang, didn't your mom, your dad, and little Yunyun come with you? It was then that Yang remembered the matter at hand and replied, Grandma, I came to take you back with us to live together. To live with you all? Shangguan Grandma was taken aback. Yes. Yang nodded and added, Grandma, now both my maternal grandparents have moved with us to Jinghua village, so my parents asked me to bring you over as well. It will be livelier with more people living together. Shangguan Grandma hesitated, Yang, I'm quite comfortable living here. Moving over to your place, wouldn't it be a bit inconvenient? She really didn't want to trouble the younger generation. Yang said with a smile, there's no inconvenience at all, that's your home too. It's much livelier when everyone lives together. The cement road in our village is already fixed. Whenever you miss home, you can just take a car back to visit. It's very convenient. Shangguan Grandma still hesitated. Yang continued, Grandma, Yunyun has been talking about you these past days. If you move over, you'll be able to see Yunyun every day. Also, you don't have to worry about my brother and sister Xiaoxi at all. There are so many rooms at home, when my brother and sister Xiaoxi come back for holidays, they can choose whichever room they want to stay in. Yun was the youngest child in the family and the granddaughter Shangguan Grandma loved the most. After hearing what Yang said, Shangguan Grandma immediately replied, all right. Then I'll move over. I'm going to make a call right now to inform Xiaoxiu and Xiaoxi, oh right, and I need to tell your aunt too. As she spoke, Shangguan Grandma excitedly went off to make the calls to everyone. Not only did Shangguan Grandma inform Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, but she also called all her relatives, unable to stop smiling, oh, the kids are so filial. I said I wouldn't go, but they insisted I come, it seems I really have to go. Though Shangguan Grandma was hesitant before going, she was very happy in the end. There isn't an elderly person who doesn't want to live with their own children. After notifying all her relatives and friends, Shangguan Grandma packed some clothes and daily necessities. As the three of them were getting ready to leave, Zhao Shen suddenly arrived with Zhao Zijuan. Grandma. Zhao Zijuan rushed in from outside, Sister Yang, you're here too. Yang introduced Gooden to Zhao Zijuan. Zhao Zijuan, a very outgoing child, said, hello Gooden, I'm Yang cousin, you can just call me Zijuan. Though Gooden had grown up in the countryside, he wasn't shy at all and confidently said, then you can just call me Gooden. The two kids quickly started playing together. Gooden said, Zijuan, if you ever come to Sister Yang's house to play, remember to come find me, I'll take you to my secret base. Kids in the countryside usually have their own secret bases. Zhao Zijuan first nodded, then as if he thought of something, added, but I don't know the way to your house. Gooden said with a laugh, you can ask Sister Yang, she knows. While the children played outside, the three adults talked inside. Although Zhao Shen and Shangguan Furong had already divorced, whenever he had time, he would bring Zhao Zijuan to the Shangguan family's home to see Shangguan Grandma. Even though Shangguan Furong had made it clear that there was no possibility between them, Daoist still held hopes. Mom, about Furong and me, could you please talk to Furong again? Shangguan Grandma sighed, you young people, you don't cherish what you have when you have it, and now that you've lost it, you realize and regret. But where in this world can you find a regret medicine? I really know I was wrong. Zhao Shen also felt regret, but it was pointless now. Shangguan Grandma continued, I've already talked to Furong. It was useless, she's made up her mind this time. Zhao Shen, you're still young, you should quickly find someone else while you can. But let me say this first, the person must be kind-hearted, not like last time. Shangguan Grandma wasn't one to overlook sensibility, she wouldn't force Zhao Shen to never remarry. Chapter 9-11, Teach You How to Behave. _3. Since Shangguan Furong and he no longer had a chance, it was better for Zhao Shun to find someone new early on. After all, he was bound to remarry sooner or later. To let him remarry? Upon hearing this, Zhao Shun's heart skipped a beat, and he said to old lady Shangguan, "Mom, could it be that Furong has already, could it be that Shangguan Furong had found someone in such a short time?" Old lady Shangguan understood what Zhao Shun was implying and shook her head. "Furong comes back only once a month now. I'm not very clear about her personal affairs. I'm just saying that you should find someone new sooner." Shangguan Furong took Zhao Ziqing to Hetian City next door, sometimes not even returning once a month. Old lady Shangguan really didn't understand her personal affairs, but knowing Furong's personality, she probably wouldn't find someone else so quickly. Hearing this, Zhao Shun breathed a sigh of relief. Old lady Shangguan continued, "By the way, how has your mother been recently?" Zhao Shun nodded, "My mom is very well now, you don't need to worry." "That's good." Zhao Shun turned to look at Ni Yang and asked, "Did Yang Yang come today to take your grandma to Jianghu village?" Ni Yang nodded, "Yes. The countryside has good air, suitable for the elderly." Zhao Shun made some small talk before getting to the point. "Yang Yang, your aunt listens to you the most now. Could you help me persuade her? I really regret it, I know I was wrong, and as long as she is willing to give me another chance, I'll do whatever she asks." Since the series of events, Ni Yang's position in Shangguan Furong's heart was different. Whatever Ni Yang said, she would certainly listen. Ni Yang smiled slightly and said tactfully, "Uncle, I'm flattered that you think so highly of me, but I might disappoint you. I'm still a child, after all. It may not be appropriate for me to interfere with you and Auntie's affairs." Ni Yang really didn't want to get involved in this matter. Because Zhao Shun made a mistake that no woman in the world would forgive. Whether to forgive Zhao Shun and get back together with him was something for Shangguan Furong to consider on her own. Outsiders shouldn't forcefully interfere. Zhao Shun was a clever man, he understood the subtext of Ni Yang's words and sighed, "Okay, Yang Yang, I understand." After sitting at the Shangguan family's home for a while, Zhao Shun bid farewell to old lady Shangguan. Ni Yang said, "Uncle, even though you and Auntie are divorced now, we're still relatives. Zijuan is still Grandma's grandchild, and I am still Zijin's cousin. If you have time, remember to take Zijuan to Jinghua village for a visit, as Grandma is going to be staying there regularly from now on." Zhao Shun nodded, "Okay, Yang Yang, I got it." After Zhao Shun left with Zhao Zijuan, Ni Yang also took old lady Shangguan and Gooden back to the village. The car played the operas old lady Shangguan loved to hear. The elderly woman smiled all the way there. When they got back to Jinghua village, it was already after 3 in the afternoon. The house had already been nearly put in order by Ni Tsuehua and Shangguan Dehui. Considering the elderly's mobility issues, Ni Tsuehua and Shangguan Dehui decided to arrange the first-floor room for the 3 seniors. The 3 seniors naturally had no objections. When Ni Chengue came back in the evening and saw that Ni Tsuehua and the others had returned, he couldn't have been happier. He hugged Ni Tsuehua excitedly, "Oh, Yang Yang's mom, you're back. You have no idea how boring it was without your family around. Even the food didn't taste as good as before." Ni Tsuehua laughed and said, "Then tonight you must eat a few more bowls." "Certainly will," Ni Chengue said, "Yang Yang's mom, it's been such a long time since I've had your cooking." Ni Tsuehua continued, "Sister Chengue, what do you want to eat tonight? I'll cook anything for you." Ni Chengue listed 3 dishes she wanted. After the dishes were ready that evening, Ni Tsuehua served a separate portion of each dish for Ni Yang to take to Granny Lu. The weather wasn't good that night, with dark clouds covering the moon and stars, making everything pitch dark. Thanks to Ni Yang's good eyesight, she could still see where she was going. Ni Yang touched her chin, pondering whether it might be time to install some street lamps along the road. But at that time, solar street lamps still didn't exist. The street lamps being installed were manually controlled. They weren't turned on one by one, instead, pushing up the main switch easily did the job. While walking, Yang thought about this, and by the time she arrived at Granny Liu's house, Granny Liu was already having dinner. Chapter 9:12, Teach You How to Behave. _4. The elderly woman's dinner was very simple. Cornbread with white rice porridge and a bowl of pickled vegetables. Grandma Liu, I'm here. Grandma Liu was getting on in years, and her hearing had been gradually declining until Yang approached her. Only then did she notice Yang Yang's here. When did you get back, Yang? Yang said loudly, Grandma Liu, I got home this morning. Grandma Liu nodded and continued, did your parents come back with you? They came back, and my maternal grandparents and grandma came along, too. That's good, that's good. It's more lively when the family is together. Grandma Liu took Yang's hand and had her sit down. Yang took the food out of the basket. Grandma Liu, this is what my mom sent over for you, just taken out of the pot, eat it while it's hot. Grandma Liu smiled and said, your mom is too kind. What is this? Let me taste. Ah, your mom's cooking skills are getting better and better. The flavor of this dish is indescribable. Yang went on, Grandma Liu, now that my maternal grandparents and I have moved over, why don't you move in and live with us? Because she had grown fond of Grandma Liu, and Grandma Liu had no children of her own nor any relatives or friends, Yang had previously invited Grandma Liu to stay at their house. But Grandma Liu had refused. No matter what, she didn't want to go. This time, Yang brought it up again, but Grandma Liu still refused. No, I'm quite happy living here. A golden nest, a silver nest, is not as good as one's own dog house, Yang, no need to mention it again. After chatting with Grandma Liu for a while, Yang left. After Yang had gone, Grandma Liu's courtyard returned to its previous quiet state. Yang looked back at the little house enveloped by the night and silently made up her mind about something. Since Grandma Liu didn't want to move in, she would find a way to make Grandma Liu's home more lively. The next day, the village air was really good. If it hadn't been for Duo, who had smelled bad all morning, flying to Yang's bedside and squawking, Yang could have slept for another 2 hours. Duo, what are you squawking about? Yang got dressed and went down from the bed. Get up. Get up. Duo said, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Yang smiled helplessly. It turned out this little guy was hungry. She took a handful of bird food she brought back from abroad and put it on the coffee table. You can't even catch bugs. You stupid bird. Duo was too busy eating to pay attention to Yang. Yang went to freshen up in the bathroom. She had personally designed the house for convenience. Nearly every room had a bathroom. After freshening up, she went downstairs just in time for breakfast. In the dining room, old Madame Shengguan and old Madame Zheng were eating breakfast and chatting. Good morning, Grandma. Good morning, Grandmother. Yang grabbed a bun casually. Where's Grandpa? Old Madame Zheng said, your grandpa went out with Yun, probably for a walk. The villagers didn't recognize Mr. Zheng, but they all knew little Yun. Going out with little Yun was like walking with a living signboard. Plus, little Yun had a built-in sense of direction. Although she was young, she was smart. After breakfast, Yang rode her bike to the city. She was going to check the accounts of various stores. Because there were many stores, it took a whole day and she still hadn't finished. Not until the third day around 11 in the morning did Yang finish checking all the accounts. After doing the accounts, Yang bought some things and went to visit Xiaozhou, who had played a crucial role in clearing up the situation. As soon as Xiaozhou saw Yang coming with so many things, he was immediately delighted and said with concern, Brother Yang, this is too kind of you. I'll feel embarrassed. While saying he was embarrassed, Xiaozhou kept carrying the things inside. Ni Yang joked, "Your skin is thicker than a city wall's corner, and you know how to feel embarrassed. Is that how you compliment someone?" Xiaozhou pushed Ni Yang lightly and then asked, "By the way, with such a big event at your house, are you okay?" Ni Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. "Your brother Yang is so capable, what could possibly go wrong?" Xiaozhou continued, "How's your family?" While Xiaozhou was a detective, he didn't investigate every single matter. If he had to look into everything, how much effort would that take? Ni Yang succinctly told about the fate of Zheng Lingling, Sun Wu, and Zheng Xianjing's family of 3. Chapter 913, Teach You How to Behave. _5. Xiaozhou said, "What goes around comes around. By the way, how is your aunt? Her mental health wasn't good to begin with. Did this incident not totally devastate her? Having lost her only child, kept in the dark, and nearly causing the death of her own grandniece, anyone would probably find it hard to cope with such blows." Ni Yang sighed. "My aunt became a nun." "Really?" Xiaozhou was somewhat surprised. Ni Yang nodded. "Yes, she's now at Baiyun Temple." Xiaozhou continued, "Is she doing this to atone for her past?" "Perhaps," Ni Yang said. "If she hadn't been manipulated and had spoken up earlier, perhaps that child would not have died, and so many things wouldn't have happened." Xiaozhou nodded. "That makes sense." Departing from Xiaoza's place, Ni Yang made another trip to the department store. She wanted to buy a television for Grandma Lu. It was already 1985, and color TVs were available, though quite expensive, costing over 3,000 yuan each. Ordinary families could hardly afford them. Thus, at this time, if a family in the village bought a TV, they would become the most popular household, because everyone would bring their bowls to watch TV during mealtime at their home, which helped alleviate Grandma Liu's loneliness. Since she had decided to buy a TV for Grandma Lu, it had to be a color one. Ni Yang paid without hesitation and even added an extra 10 yuan for delivery. The shopkeeper was stunned. He initially thought Ni Yang was just browsing, but she didn't haggle and spent 3,000 yuan outright. From that moment on, the shopkeeper saw Ni Yang in a new light. After paying and arranging the delivery time with the shopkeeper, Ni Yang headed to the third floor's clothing city, planning to buy some clothes. Ni Yang picked several cheongsams and was about to pay when she spotted a light blue embroidered cheongsam. "Please get that one down for me," Ni Yang turned to the sales associate. "Of course," the associate nodded. Just then, a pair of hands reached out before the sales associate and took the cheongsam. "I saw this cheongsam first." Ni Yang looked up and saw a young woman in her 20s with healthy wheat-colored skin and well-defined features, not looking like someone from Beijing. Judging by her accent, she seemed to be from Bay Island. The relationship between China and Bay Island had entered a new historical phase on New Year's Day 1979, with friendly interactions and the cessation of all hostilities. So, it wasn't strange to see someone from Bay Island in Beijing. Since the woman had grabbed the cheongsam first, Ni Yang didn't say much, just smiled gently at the young woman and then turned to the sales associate. "Let's go to the cashier." "Sure," the associate nodded, thankful to have met a reasonable customer today. Dealing with difficult customers could have caused a scene. "Please follow me." "Hello, that will be 450 yuan in total. 6 cheongsams, all made of real silk, and together only costing a bit over 400 yuan, such a price would be quite reasonable in later times." Ni Yang took out the money from her purse and handed it to the sales associate, revealing a pale, smooth wrist and a translucent, droplet-like jade bracelet as she moved. Under the lights, the jade bracelet cast a cool glow. At that moment, the young woman with the light blue cheongsam came over to pay, and she noticed the bracelet. "That bracelet is gorgeous. It would look even more beautiful on her." "Wait." The young woman narrowed her eyes. Wait, why does that bracelet look familiar? It seemed like she had seen it before. Yes. She remembered. She had seen this bracelet in old family photos at home. Hey! Where did you get this bracelet from? The young woman approached Ni Yang, her tone somewhat aggressive. Judging by how Ni Yang had spent just over 400 yuan on several cheongsams, she didn't seem like someone who could afford such an expensive bracelet. And this bracelet was a family heirloom. Could it be stolen? The young woman narrowed her eyes. Seeing the hostility in the young woman's eyes, Ni Yang frowned slightly. This really isn't any of your concern. Since the other party was hostile, there was no need for her to be overly friendly. After all, she wasn't a masochist who enjoyed self-harm. Chapter 914, Teach You How to Behave. _6. You have no manners at all, do you? The young woman angrily said. Is this how everyone from Beijing answers questions? Born into a family of privilege, she had always been looked up to, constantly showered with compliments, and this was her first time encountering someone like Ni Yang, who was such a thorn in her side. Ni Yang slightly raised her eyebrows, retorted, Comrade, do you even know what manners means? If you're so mannerly, is this the attitude you use to ask questions of others? You. How can you speak like that? The young woman was about to explode with anger. This brash young girl had no sense at all. How dare she be so insolent? Would anyone dare to do this to her on Taiwan Island? Ni Yang shrugged slightly. I speak just like this, what's the matter? Do you have a problem? After speaking, she continued, even if you have an issue, keep it to yourself. I'm not your mother, why should I pander to you? Having said this, Ni Yang picked up her clothes and turned to leave. As she turned, her black hair traced a perfect arc through the air, exuding an air of authority and beauty, extremely eye-catching. The young woman, now seething with rage, immediately followed and grabbed Ni Yang by the wrist. You vile girl, you're not going anywhere. Ni Yang glanced back with a slight curl of her red lips. Let go. Two softly spoken words, yet they carried a chill. Vile girl. You can't leave, tell me, where did you get that bracelet? Not letting go, huh? Ni Yang smiled, then don't regret it later. Since no one in your family taught you how to behave, I suppose I'll reluctantly step in. Having said that, Ni Yang slowly withdrew her hand. She seemed not to use much strength, yet the young woman couldn't muster any resistance. Bang! Due to the sudden inertia, she lost her balance and fell hard to the ground, in unbearable pain. Ni Yang looked down at her, lightly dusted off her hands. Beijing isn't your home, nor is it a place for you to throw your weight around as a spoiled rich girl. If you bother me again, consider the consequences. Unable to best Ni Yang in a fight, the young woman waited until Ni Yang's figure disappeared at the entrance before she dared to curse loudly. Ah! It hurts so much. Vile girl. Vile girl. I'll kill you. Miss, are you all right? Seeing the commotion, a servant who had come with her immediately ran over. The young woman's features were twisted in anger. I'm so furious. That vile girl. Why didn't you come over just now? Sorry, miss, I didn't see what happened. Useless. The young woman slapped the servant, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a 100 renminbi note. Take this money and buy some medicine. Nowadays, everyone is equal, and servants have rights. Employers can't just beat them as they please. But money can solve anything. The servant took the money and caught up with the young woman. Miss, wait for me. As long as the pay was right, even getting beaten up 100 times a day wouldn't matter. And this was 100 yuan, equivalent to 3 months of her salary. The young woman ran outside the mall, but Ni Yang was nowhere to be seen. Fuming, she got into a sedan and slammed the car door shut. Back to the mansion. Okay. Seeing her so angry, the driver subconsciously shrank his neck. The young lady was not an easy one to please. The small sedan sped all the way to a very luxurious mansion and stopped in front. The young woman ran inside, crying, "Brother! Brother! Someone's bullying me." "Who? Who dares to bully my precious little sister?" A man, around 25 or 26 years old, walked out from the house. He was Lu Qi, and the crying person was his sister, Lu Ru. Because of work, their family of 3 had moved from Taiwan Island to Beijing, and they had already been in Beijing for over a month. Lu Ru said angrily, "Some lowly girl. She said I have no manners and even dared to talk back to me. It's just too uncultured. Brother, you must help me get revenge. Catch that lowly girl and teach her a lesson." Lu Ru had never been so infuriated in all the time she had been in Beijing. She wished she could kill Ni Yang. Lu Qi sighed, "Xiaoru, this isn't Bei Island, and it's not our home. I've told you before, you need to restrain yourself. If you cause trouble here, no one can clean up your mess." Lu Ru was his own sister, he knew Lu Ru all too well. Chances were, today's incident was mostly Lu Ru's doing. Lu Ru had originally expected Lu Qi to vent her frustration, but instead, Lu Qi turned around and blamed her, which made her even angrier. "Are you even my real brother? I am not talking to you anymore. I'm going to find Dad." Lu Qi could only shake his head helplessly. Lu Ru stormed off towards Father Liu's room. Inside the room, the young mother Lu was giving Father Lu a massage. Lu Ru's sudden entrance took the couple by surprise. Mother Lu frowned and said, "Child, how can you come in without knocking?" Lu Ru went straight to Father Lu, hugged his neck, and started to coo and complain. She briefly explained what had happened. Dad! You must stand up for me. That lowly girl was just too hateful." Father Lu was approaching his late 70s this year, and Lu Ru was only 20 years old. As a late-life daughter, he doted on her especially, fulfilling almost her every wish, and smiled, saying, There, Dad will get your revenge. Xiaoru, don't be angry anymore, a girl looks worst when crying." Mother Lu laughed, "These girls in Beijing just don't have the discernment, they don't even see whose daughter you are to dare provoke you. Xiaoru, just wait, your dad will surely get revenge for you." Father Lu was almost 80 this year, but Mother Lu was only in her 50s, and she kept herself well maintained, looking almost like someone in their 30s or 40s, with a particularly elegant air and a pretty face. Lu Ru inherited her skin from Father Lu, and her looks from Mother Lu. Seeing both parents on her side, Lu Ru was overjoyed and added, "Right, I also saw that bracelet on that lowly girl's wrist." "What bracelet?" Father Lu asked. "The bracelet from that old photo. That bracelet is really pretty. It looks so much better than in the photo." At the end of her statement, Lu Ru's eyes lit up. "Dad, my grandaunt must still be alive. Can't we find her soon?" Before Father Lu could speak, Mother Lu was beside herself with excitement, grabbing Lu Ru's arm. "Xiaoru, did you really see it? That means your grandaunt is still alive." "Really?" Lu Ru nodded. "Mom, think about it, have I ever misjudged any fine thing I've seen? Would I make a mistake?" Father Lu frowned and then said, "But there's always a bit of a discrepancy between a photo and the real thing. How do you know that bracelet was your grandaunt's?" Chapter 9:15, This is too amazing. Lu father always felt there was something fishy about this matter without seeing the actual item. How could it be such a coincidence that they had just arrived in Beijing and already seen that bracelet? "Dad! How could I possibly have seen it wrong?" Lu Ru shook Lu father. "Dad, just believe me. That is definitely our family's heirloom. My aunt is now in Beijing, let's go find her quickly." "What did the young girl you saw look like?" Lu father continued to ask, does she resemble your aunt? How old is she approximately? Hearing this, Lu mother covered her mouth in surprise. Could it be that she remarried? Lu father furrowed his brows slightly. Based on my understanding of her, she's not the type to remarry casually, but you can never be too sure about these things. It had been so many years, and much had become a blur in Lu father's mind. After thinking hard, Lu Ru spoke. That despicable girl seemed about 18 or 19, pretty, okay looking, I guess. But I feel she doesn't look like my aunt when she was younger. Lu Ru was very vain, always considering herself the world's #1 beauty. There truly weren't many people who could gain her approval of being okay looking. Hearing her say this, Lu parents knew that the young girl must be exceptionally attractive. 18 or 19? Lu mother said with a smile, your aunt is about the same age as your dad this year, she couldn't possibly have a daughter that young. Women are different from men. Women go through menopause around the age of 50, after which they can no longer have children. As long as a man is physically strong, even at 80 or 90, he still has the ability to father children. Right, are there any relatives left on her mother's side? Lu mother nudged Lu father with her elbow. Relatives? Lu father scratched his head, then said, in that era, even if she had a few relatives, I doubt they would have survived. A few decades earlier was the time for denouncing the bourgeois. Then who could that young girl be? Lu mother went on, could it be that she fell on hard times and had to sell the bracelet? Sell? I think it's more likely she stole it, Lu Ru said, curling her lip. Lu father added, we can't jump to conclusions yet. By the way, Xiaoru, where does that young girl live? Let's go have a look now. In the years of denouncing the bourgeois, privately hoarding gold and jewelry was forbidden. Gold and jewelry were worth less than scrap metal. Back then, many people couldn't even trade a gold bar for a bowl of white rice, and if you were caught trading privately, you would be labeled a speculator. So, the likelihood of theft was not high. Although Lu father was old, he wasn't confused. I don't know where she lives, Lu Ru said, that worthless girl had no manners at all. Ask her one question and she'd explode like she'd swallowed gunpowder. She even pushed me to the ground. I've never seen such a person in my life. If she had been on Bay Island, she wouldn't have gotten away with it. If it were on Bay Island, who would dare provoke her? Only someone with a death wish. Lu father continued, it could also be a relative from her family. She's alone now, getting on in years, so it wouldn't be strange for her to have given the items to a family member. Right, Xiaoru, you need to change this temperament of yours. Don't just throw around accusations, calling everyone a despicable girl. If that bracelet really belongs to your aunt, then she's our relative. As he finished, Lu father also warned, besides, this is Beijing, which is different from our Bay Island. If you truly offend some noble person, even I might not be able to protect you. Taiwan Island is just a small island. But this is Beijing. The total area of Bay Island is about the same size as Beijing, but Beijing is only 1% of China. 100 Bay Islands cannot compare to one China. So, it's necessary to keep a low profile when the time calls for it. I know, Lu Ru replied nonchalantly and then said, Dad, since we're sure that aunt is in Beijing, let's hurry and find her. She'll definitely be so happy to see us. Lu father did not speak. Lu mother said, exactly. Xiaoru, you're right, we need to find your aunt as soon as possible. Lu Ru went on, Dad, would you be able to give me that bracelet when the time comes? She had taken a liking to the beautiful bracelet at first glance. Lu mother said with a smile, of course, well give it to you. Your dad and I have only you for a daughter. Who else would we give it to if not you? Chapter 9:16, This is too amazing. _2. That's wonderful. Lu Ru was overjoyed, hugging her mother tightly, Mom, thank you. I love you. The mother and daughter were ecstatic, but the expression on Lu Ru's father's face was somewhat heavy. After lunch, Lu Ru's mother hailed a cab and went out on her own. Soon, the car stopped next to an ordinary residential area. Standing in front of the residential area, Lu Ru's mother was filled with deep emotion. The area had changed so much over the decades. She took a piece of paper out of her pocket and, following the address on it, arrived at the second floor. Room 206, this should be the place, she muttered, looking around before knocking on the door. But after knocking for a long time, there was no response. What's going on? Lu Ru's mother frowned slightly and raised her voice, is anyone there? Is anyone there? Instead of the door she was knocking on, the neighbor's door at 207 opened. Comrade, who are you looking for? Feeling a bit embarrassed, Lu Ru's mother said, I'm looking for someone who lives here. By the way, does a doctor with the surname Jiang live here? Are you here to see a doctor? The neighbor scratched his head, looking at Lu Ru's mother, you look quite similar to Dr. Jiang. Are you related? No, Lu Ru's mother quickly denied, I have no family connection with her. I've heard that she has incredible medical skills and has cured many difficult diseases, so I came to seek her treatment. I see, the neighbor nodded, then added, Dr. Jiang hasn't been around for quite a long time. We have no idea where she went. In this era, communication was not well developed, and there was no internet. Since Dr. Jiang was not arrested here, the neighbors had no idea she had been jailed, let alone that she had been executed. Lu Ru's mother frowned slightly, then continued, how long has it been since you last saw her? After thinking for a moment, the neighbor replied, about a month, I guess. A month? That was exactly when they had arrived in Beijing. They had just come here and hadn't settled down yet, so she hadn't come to find Dr. Jiang right away. As she spoke, the neighbor continued, it's odd, when Dr. Jiang was living here, her nephew used to visit her often. But it's been a long time since he last came, and Dr. Jiang is getting on in years, so maybe her nephew took her to live with him and enjoy her old age. Without further conversation, Lu Ru's mother thanked the neighbor and then turned to leave. Had Dr. Jiang really been taken away by her nephew to enjoy her old age? Lu Ru's mother sighed, glancing back at the direction of the residential building, her face filled with worries. Where on earth could she have gone? On the way back, Lu Ru's mother noticed a detective agency and walked in. Jiang Yan? Xiaozi's face changed slightly when he saw who Lu Ru's mother was looking for. Yes, Lu Ru's mother nodded, could you please investigate where she is now for me? Money is not an issue, I just want to find the person. Then you'll need to pay an 800 yuan deposit first, Xiaozhou said. Lu Ru's mother took out a stack of money from her bag and placed it on the table, may I ask when you will have the results? Smiling, Xiaozhou replied, our agency is very efficient. Come back tomorrow morning, and there will be news. Lu Ru's mother nodded, all right, I'll come back tomorrow morning. Leaving the detective agency, Lu Ru's mother still looked rather troubled, an ominous feeling lurking in her heart. Looking through the glass window at Lu Ru's mother's retreating figure, Xiaozhou narrowed his eyes slightly. When Ni Yang returned to Jinghua village, it was already past 12 p.m. She had arranged with the boss selling televisions that he would deliver the TV at 1 o'clock. Seeing that it was about time, Ni Yang set off for Grandma Liu's place. Sister. Little Ni Yun suddenly called out to Ni Yang. Yun. Ni Yang looked back gently and saw little Ni Yun holding a small bucket in one hand and a toy shovel in the other, her tender little face spotted with mud, smiling sweetly at Ni Yang. Grandpa, what are you doing? Ni Yang then asked. Old Master Zheng smiled and replied, I'm thinking of clearing this empty space out here and then planting some flowers. Old Master Zheng was a gardening enthusiast who loved planting flowers. The village had plenty of space, perfect for him. He saw a vacant plot next to the house and, not wanting it to go to waste, decided to turn it into a flower garden. He also planned to dig a little fish pond, so he could enjoy some fishing in his spare time. Yang nodded, then added, "If you need any help, just call me. I'm heading over to Grandma Liu's for a bit." Chapter 917, This is Too Amazing. _3. Upon hearing this, little Yun quickly threw away the small shovel and patted his chest, saying, "Sister, I can help Grandpa. I'm really great." Elder Zheng laughed and said, "Yes, Yun can help me, Yang, you don't need to worry about me anymore. Go ahead and do your thing." Yang arrived at Grandma Liu's house. Grandma Liu was bathing her cat on the balcony. At the time, it was rare in the countryside for people to bathe their cats, but Grandma Liu was such a particular person. Due to her aristocratic birth, she always carried an inherent dignity. Even though she was down on her luck now, that dignity was still preserved. Meow, meow, meow. Grandma Liu had not yet seen Yang, it was the little cat that saw her first. Yang is here. Seeing Yang, Grandma Liu smiled happily. "Grandma Liu, you're bathing Depang." Depang was a Chinese orange tabby cat, known for being particularly plump. Depang's plumpness was partly due to the food, as Grandma Liu would even save the food she herself was reluctant to eat for Depang. Depang was not only fat but also very intelligent, which was why Grandma Liu particularly adored him. Grandma Liu smiled and nodded, "Yes, it's been several days since Depang last bathed, and it's almost getting infested with bugs." They were chatting when a blue farm vehicle stopped at the doorstep, and a middle-aged man jumped down from the vehicle and shouted, "Comrade, is the television to be delivered here?" "Yes," Yang walked over, "Please help bring it inside." "All right." Two men lifted the 18-inch television and followed Yang into the house. Grandma Liu was startled. Yang, what is this about?" Yang smiled and said, "It's like this, Grandma Liu, I won a television from a purchase today, but we already have one at home, so I brought this one over for you, so you can watch it when you're bored." Afraid that Grandma Liu might reprimand her for frivolous spending and worried that Grandma Liu might refuse to accept it, Yang said the television was a prize. "You can win a television as a prize?" Grandma Liu was skeptical. "Really?" Yang nodded. "Grandma Liu, if you don't believe it, you can ask these two uncles." The two men carrying the television were sharp-witted and quickly smiled. "Old lady, this young comrade didn't deceive you, the television was indeed one. This young comrade is really lucky, it's so enviable." Grandma Liu continued, "Even if it was won as a prize, I still can't accept it. This television is expensive, and you could sell it for quite a lot of money. Old lady, this is also a token of your granddaughter's filial piety. Please accept it." Yang quickly interjected, "Grandma Liu, I really treat you like my own grandmother, and you've been so good to me. If you don't accept this television, I won't come to your house to chat next time." Fearful that Grandma Liu might continue to refuse, Yang added, "And when you gave me this bracelet last time, I didn't refuse, did I? Truthfully speaking, this bracelet is worth much more than the television." "You child." All right, I'll accept it," Grandma Liu said helplessly with a smile. "Comrade, do you think placing the television here would be okay?" one of the movers asked, pointing to a long table in front of the living room. In the countryside, almost every household has a long table in front of the living room. It's not exactly called a table, in some places, it's referred to as a coffee table, though it's different from a typical coffee table, and in other areas, it's called a console table. The table is usually used to hold clocks, vases, and other ornaments. "That's fine," Yang nodded. The two men placed the television on the long table, connected the power, and colorful images immediately appeared on the screen. At that moment, the popular TV series, Travels of the Prowess Shadow, was playing on the television. Grandma Liu exclaimed, "People nowadays are really capable, managing to squeeze humans into such a small, square box like this. Who would have dared to imagine this in the past? Ni Yang nodded, yes. Then, Ni Yang taught Grandma Lu how to operate the television. Although Grandma Lu was elderly, her responses were not dull, and though her hearing was occasionally poor, her mind was sharp, and she quickly learned. With the television now there, the once somewhat quiet courtyard immediately became lively. Chapter 9:18 This is too amazing. _4. The first person to discover that Grandma Lu had gotten a television was the neighbor next to Grandma Liu's house, and word spread quickly, so everyone came to watch TV at Grandma Liu's home. Ni Yang had just returned to the Ni family courtyard when she saw Xiaozhou standing at the doorway. Yang, you're back at last. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Xiaozhou said, visibly excited upon seeing Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled and said, I was just at Grandma Liu's place not far from here. If you were in such a rush, you could have come to find me. Or you could have just called out, and I would have heard you. I didn't want to interrupt what you were doing, Xiaozhou replied. Today, someone who looks a lot like Jiang Yan came to the detective agency to inquire about her whereabouts. Xiaozhou knew that Jiang Yan was the chief culprit behind the poisoning of Chao Lingrui and the two elderly people from the Zheng family, so after Liu's mother had gone, he couldn't wait to come to Jinghua village to tell Ni Yang about it. Jiang Yan? You mean Dr. Jiang? Ni Yang narrowed her eyes slightly. Yes, Xiaozhou nodded. Judging by her accent, she seemed to have come from Taiwan Island, and she doesn't know anything about Jiang Yan's situation yet. Taiwan Island again, Ni Yang frowned slightly. Again? What do you mean? Xiaozhou asked, puzzled. I encountered an unreasonable miss today. Her accent also sounded like she's from Taiwan Island, Ni Yang continued to ask, by the way, how old did the person looking into Jiang Yan's case seem to be? Xiaozhou thought for a moment, a wealthy lady in her 40s, approximately. 40s, Ni Yang narrowed her eyes, that can't be the same person. Right, come inside, you're standing out here like a fool. Okay. Xiaozhou continued, that was your grandfather and your sister, wasn't it? Right, Ni Yang nodded. Xiaozhou said, your grandfather was too polite. Just now, he kept asking me to come in and sit, and he was about to go to Grandma Liu's house to find you, but I stopped him. He's a bit different from the way people describe him. According to the rumors, old Master Zheng was a stern, no-nonsense old man. Ni Yang laughed and said, rumors are just rumors, after all. By the way, did you tell that person about the outcome of Dr. Jiang? Xiaozhou shook his head, I felt that something was odd about this case, so I didn't tell her. I just took an 800 yuan deposit from her and told her to come to the detective agency tomorrow morning to find me. Ni Yang nodded slightly, pushed open the courtyard gate, and brought Xiaozhou inside. As soon as Xiaozhou stepped into the courtyard, he couldn't help but exclaim, your family's courtyard is really beautiful. Although it wasn't his first visit to Ni Yang's house, every time Xiaozhou came over, he was always astounded. By the way, what are those flowers blooming on the wall? Roses? It was August, and the wild roses were thriving on the walls. Among the tender green branches and leaves, bunches of bright red and pink blossoms formed a natural rose wall. It was so pretty it took one's breath away. They're wild roses, Ni Yang answered. Wild roses? Did you buy them at the flower and bird market? I should plant some in the detective agency's courtyard too, Xiaozhou suggested. He rented the detective agency, which had a large backyard. When there was nothing much to do, the employees would sit in the yard to drink tea, chat, and take a break. No need to buy them. Wild roses are very hardy, there's a whole bunch of them growing on the back hill. How about we go dig up some wild roses and talk? Ni Yang proposed. Sure. Xiaozhou nodded his head. Seeing Xiaozhou agree, Ni Yang picked up a basket and a small hoe and led Xiaozhou towards the back hill. As they walked and talked, they quickly arrived at the back hill. Ni Yang had already dug there last year, but the patch of wild roses was still flourishing. She deftly clipped off the wild rose vines, leaving only the roots. Seeing this, Xiaozhou said worriedly, "You've cut off all the vines, how will they survive now?" Ni Yang smiled and replied, "Don't worry, wild roses are very easy to nurture. Although it looks like there's only a little bit of root left now, by next spring, it will sprout a large bunch." "Really?" Xiaozhou was somewhat skeptical. Ni Yang nodded, "Of course it's true. Doesn't our rose wall at home look great? However, when we dig them up later, we need to be careful to preserve as much soil around the roots as possible." "Got it." Xiaozhou picked up the hoe and began to dig. In a short while, they had dug up a basket full of wild rose roots. Because they included clumps of soil, the basket was particularly heavy. Seeing Ni Yang about to lift the basket, Xiaozhou hurried to stop her. Yang, let me do it." Chapter 919, This is Too Amazing. _5. You're going to carry it? Ni Yang glanced up and down at him. "Can you handle it?" Xiaozhou, speechless, replied, "If I can't handle it, do you think you can? After all, I am a man." Ni Yang shrugged slightly, not wanting to crush his spirit. "Then you try." Xiaozhou walked up to the carrying basket, slipped the straps over his shoulders, but no matter what, he couldn't straighten his back. Damn! It was way too heavy. Having been born into wealth and never having done manual labor, it was normal for Xiaozhou to struggle. Ni Yang had expected this, which is why she had stepped in ahead of Xiaozhou, ready to take over the load. Clamping his teeth tightly, Xiaozi's face turned red, but he still couldn't lift the basket. "Let me do it." Ni Yang approached Xiaozhou, shading him from the sun. "No need," Xiaozhou shook his head, "I can do it." He was a man. He couldn't lose face in front of a girl. He could do it. Xiaozhou psyched himself up internally. Ni Yang, with a smile, said, "Let me do it. We're all brothers here, and I won't laugh at you." "Xiaozhou, you're already laughing. If I can't carry it, do you think you can?" Xiaozhou looked up at Ni Yang. Ni Yang's expression remained the same. "Let me try, and then we'll know." Xiaozhou stepped aside, curious to see whether Ni Yang really could carry it or not. Ni Yang squatted down, effortlessly lifted the basket, and glanced back at Xiaozhou. "Let's go." Xiaozhou stood there, stunned. Damn! That was incredible. If he hadn't tried it himself, he would have thought the basket wasn't heavy at all. Yang, no, brother Yang. Xiaozhou hurried after Ni Yang. "Brother Yang, you're amazing, aren't you?" Ni Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. "Your brother Yang has trained for this, of course it's amazing." Xiaozhou gestured with cupped hands. "Respect. Now I finally understand why there's an idiom called heroine in ancient times." If Ni Yang had lived in ancient times, she surely would have been a female general. After coming down the mountain, Ni Yang arranged to meet up with Xiaozhou the next morning and visit the detective agency. She was quite curious to see who this person investigating Dr. Jiang Yan was, and to figure out what they were all about. The next morning just after 9, Ni Yang arrived at the detective agency. "How is it going? Has the person arrived yet?" Xiaozhou shook his head. "Not yet." As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaozhou led Ni Yang to a room. Yang, just sit here later. Look, there's a trick here. If you move this painting, you'll be able to see the opposite side, but they can't see you. Alright, Ni Yang nodded in agreement. Shortly after, a staff member came to call Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou rolled up his sleeves. "I'll leave first then, make yourself comfortable." Understood, Ni Yang nodded slightly. Because she was concerned about Dr. Jiang Yan's situation, Mrs. Liu arrived early. "Hello Detective Zhou, how is the investigation into Dr. Jiang Yan going? Xiao Zhou pointed to a stool opposite him. Please take a seat first, sit down and I'll explain everything to you slowly. All right. Mrs. Lu sat down across from him, removed her hat, and asked eagerly, so, can you tell me now? Xiao Zhou sighed deeply, his face a picture of solemnity. Please prepare yourself mentally first. A sense of dread filled Mrs. Lu. Did something happen to Dr. Jiang? Xiao Zhou poured a cup of tea and handed it to Mrs. Lu. Here's the thing. He roughly explained the situation regarding Dr. Jiang Yan to Mrs. Lu. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Lu felt her blood run cold, her face turned ashen, and with a strained smile, she asked, You're joking with me, right? Xiao Zhou sighed again. Why would I joke about something like this? I'm very sorry, but this is true. If you don't believe me, you can go to the Public Security Bureau to ask. In fact, Dr. Jiang Yan got what she deserved. You don't know how terribly she and Jiang Xiaoman hurt the Zheng family. Chao Lingrui didn't even get a proper burial. This sudden shock left Mrs. Lu unsure how to react. After a long moment, she continued, When did this happen? Xiao Zhou continued, a month ago. A month ago. They had just arrived in Beijing a month ago. If they had come earlier, if she had found Dr. Jiang Yan sooner, could this have been avoided? Mrs. Liu's changing expressions were all witnessed by Ni Yang. Indeed, as Xiao Zhou had said, this lady resembled Dr. Jiang Yan, especially the eyes, they were exactly the same. Chapter 920, This is Too Awesome. _6. Who is this person? Another daughter of Dr. Jiang? But, Dr. Jiang seems to only have one daughter. Dr. Jiang used to live in M country, and this person has a Bay Island accent, the locations don't match. Who is she? After learning the outcome about Dr. Jiang, Liu's mother left distraught. After Liu's mother had left, Ni Yang came out from behind the house. Xiao Zhou, what's this person's name? Xiao Zhou shook his head. I don't know her name either, but she came to investigate Dr. Jiang. She must be related to Dr. Jiang. She looks so much like Dr. Jiang. Could she be Dr. Jiang's illegitimate daughter? I don't think so. Ni Yang narrowed his eyes and continued, Is Dr. Jiang's background easy to check? Xiao Zhou smiled, took out a stack of documents. I knew you'd ask this. So, when I came back last night, I sorted out some documents on Dr. Jiang. Ni Yang took the documents and read through them meticulously. She discovered that Dr. Jiang was the eldest at home, with a younger brother and sister. The brother, Jiang Daji, is 58 this year, has one son and one daughter, and lives in Beijing now. There's also a sister, Jiang Ji, but she drowned in the sea at the age of 19, and her household registration had been cancelled for many years. The most suspicious person now was this Jiang Ji. Could Jiang Ji still be alive? Ni Yang slightly squinted, placing the documents on the table. Xiao Zhou, do you think that person just now could be Jiang Ji? Jiang Ji? Xiao Zhou seemed stunned, then said, but hasn't Jiang Ji been dead for 35 years? Could it be a staged death? Ni Yang said. Staged death? Xiao Zhou frowned, then said, why would a perfectly good person stage her own death? Maybe it was because she committed a crime? Xiao Zhou continued, but staging your own death isn't easy, right? Ni Yang lightly tapped the table with her index finger. I always feel this person is not simple. Elsewhere. As Liu's mother walked on the bustling streets of Beijing, her heart felt desolate. She couldn't believe that in just a month, everything had changed so drastically. How could this be? Liu's mother walked up to the mansion where the Liu family lived, then put away her somber expression and pretended to be nonchalant as she entered the house. Mom, where have you been? Lu Ru came out from the house just then. Liu's mother responded with a smile, I felt suffocated in the mansion, so I went out for a walk to familiarize myself with Beijing. Oh, Lu Ru nodded. And? Is there any news from Aunt? Liu's mother asked. Lu Ru shook his head. Dad has already sent someone to check, but there's no news yet. Oh. Lu Ru added, Mom, you seem off. Are you feeling okay? No. Is Wentong feeling unwell? Should I get the doctor to come and check on you? Liu's father came out from the study room upon hearing Lu Ru's words, appearing very concerned. Speaking of Liu's mother, Jiu Wentong, she was a fortunate woman, having married the nearly 50-year-old Liu's father at 22, she had always been cherished. After so many years, she was still held dear by Liu's father. Fine, probably just not used to the climate in Beijing, said Liu's mother. Liu's father nodded, indeed, the climate here in Beijing is not as good as back home. Wentong, don't worry, once we are done here, we'll go back to Bay Island immediately. Okay, Liu's mother said, then added, I'll go upstairs to rest for a bit. With that, she walked upstairs. Lu Ru quickly asked, Dad, did you find out any news about Aunt? Liu's father shook his head, it's not that quick. If it takes any longer, all the good stuff will be taken by others. Lu Ru sighed, then said, we had an agreement earlier, you must give me that bracelet when the time comes. When have I ever lied to you? That's reassuring. Lu Ru continued, when I run into that savage girl again, I'll definitely teach her a lesson. What if she's a relative from Aunt's family? Liu's father asked. Lu Ru sighed reluctantly, then forget it. For Aunt's sake, I'll forgive her once, but she really is too savage, too ill-mannered. If she really is a relative from Aunt's family, then Aunt's family really lacks manners. Is she really that savage? Lu Qi walked in from outside. Lu Ru nodded, very savage. Very ill-mannered. That kind of wild girl couldn't get married if she were in our area. More than you. Lu Qi joked. Are you even my brother? Lu Ru immediately complained to Liu's father, Dad. Look, he's bullying me. Right then, Liu's father chastised Lu Qi, Lu Qi, you are her older brother. How can you bully Xiaoru like that? Don't do this again. Lu Qi retorted speechlessly, Dad, just indulge her. Sooner or later, you'll regret it. Lu Ru rolled her eyes at Lu Qi. Ni family. Tonight, Shengguan Su and Shengguan Shi also came back. The whole family gathered in the dining room for dinner, the atmosphere very lively. Shengguan Shi asked, Yang, when will your college entrance exam results be out? In the 80s, without the developments of later years, it would take about 20 days after the college entrance exam to get the results. It's already August 10th, and the results still aren't out. But fortunately, since the exams were held in July, the school term also starts later. Ni Yang lightly shook her head, not yet. I heard our teacher say that around the 17th or 18th, we might be able to get the results at school. Shengguan Shi smiled, it's already the 10th today, so soon. By the way, Yang, how do you feel you did? Ni Yang took a river snail, it should be okay. Zheng Laoyizi smiled, it's okay even if you didn't do well, you can always retake the exam next year. Since Ni Yang seldom attended school, her family was quite worried about her college entrance exam results. Although the Ni family was not short of money, attending university was still very important. This is because university life not only broadens knowledge but also insights and experiences, and it helps expand social connections. At any time, development cannot be separated from social connections. Ni Yang said, retaking the exam won't be necessary, I think I did well enough for a first-tier university. What did you say? Zheng Laoyizi was so shocked, his chopsticks dropped on the table, first-tier university? In that era, getting into an ordinary university was considered good. Getting into a first-tier university was beyond impressive. Previously, even Zheng Xianjing who was quite talented ended up in a second-tier university. Ni Yang nodded. Zheng Laoyizi continued, Yang, if you get into a first-tier university, grandfather will go and bring back a truck of firecrackers and set them off for a whole day and night. Chapter 921, Science Top Scholar. Crushing scum in progress. A truckload of firecrackers? Ni Yang said with a smile, Grandpa, you're really exaggerating, aren't you? Old Master Zheng laughed, not at all, not one bit exaggerated. I didn't do well when I took the college entrance exam. Thinking back on those days, Old Master Zheng still felt some regret. After dinner, Old Master Zheng took little Ni Yun to clear the land. Old Lady Zheng and Old Lady Shengguan chatted in the yard and, if they found the conversation dull, they'd go together to visit Grandma Lu. Shengguan Dehui went off to work at the school. As for Ni Tsuehua, she kept herself busy with her own business. Though a lot had happened, Ni Tsuehua never gave up on her spicy strip business. She had now earned 50,000 yuan from selling the spicy strips. 50,000 yuan might not be much to the Zheng family or the Shengguan family, but to ordinary people, it was a considerable fortune. With this 50,000 yuan, Ni Tsuehua planned to start her own food factory and expand her business further. She had no desire to be a full-time housewife. Right then, Ni Tsuehua was carrying her documents to the bureau to apply for a health permit, eager to get the factory business settled as soon as possible. Time flew by quickly. Before they knew it, the day to check exam results had arrived. Both Ni Tsuehua and Shengguan Dehui thought of Ni Yang going to the school to check her results. Ni Yang felt that checking results was a simple matter, and there was no need to make a fuss. The classroom was only so big, if every parent went along, there simply wouldn't be room to stand. It was not appropriate to wear a cheongsam to school, so Ni Yang chose a white mandarin collar blouse cinched at the waist, black wide-leg pants, white sneakers, casually pulled her long hair into a bun, hopped on her bicycle, and set off. In this era, parents took their children's academic performance very seriously, so there were quite a few parents accompanying their children to check their results today, but they were all waiting outside the school gate. Yang. Han Xiaoyu had been waiting at the school entrance for a long time and was particularly excited to see Ni Yang. Xiaoyu. Ni Yang jogged over. Yang, your outfit is really pretty, even prettier than a cheongsam. Han Xiaoyu took Ni Yang's hand and looked her over from top to bottom, left to right. Ni Yang smiled, I just picked it up casually. By the way, has the cutoff score been released? Han Xiaoyu nodded, the cutoff scores are out. The first-tier university's cutoff is 588, second-tier is 525, third-tier is 460, and the college cutoff is 355. And the key 211 and 985 universities start at 600 points. Oh, I heard our school has a runner-up in the science stream. Really? Ni Yang raised her eyebrows slightly, which class? Han Xiaoyu nodded, really, it's someone from class 4, I think. There's a huge banner hung up near class 4's building. They say he scored over 600. Han Xiaoyu was disappointed as she talked about it. She had assumed that with Ni Yang's strong performance, she should have at least become the valedictorian or something. But surprisingly, there was not even the slightest buzz about her. Instead, someone from class 4 emerged as the runner-up. It was very strange. The two walked on hand in hand. Just then, a boy wearing the school uniform approached them. Ni Yang. Ni Yang looked up slightly, Li Wei. Li Wei nodded, Ni Yang, have you checked your results? Ni Yang shook her head lightly, not yet. Li Wei wore a small red flower on his chest, his face unable to hide his excitement. I scored 608 this time, and our class teacher notified me a day in advance. Has your class teacher not told you your results yet? You're the runner-up? Ni Yang asked. Li Wei nodded excitedly, yes. Indeed, choosing to retake a year was the right decision. Last year he only scored over 500, but this year he scored over 600, becoming the city's runner-up. From Ni Yang's expression, he could tell that she hadn't done as well as him. Because teachers would generally notify students who did well in advance. Li Wei had never felt such a sense of superiority in front of Ni Yang as he did at that moment. He was the city's runner-up, after all. No matter how calm Ni Yang appeared, he thought she must be admiring him to death inside. Congratulations, Ni Yang's expression remained unchanged. Li Wei continued, Ni Yang, if you didn't do well, don't be discouraged. It's quite an achievement for a girl to get into a college. With your grades, getting into a college should be no problem. Ni Yang nodded. Just as Li Wei was about to say more, Qian Jinfeng ran over from the side. Xiao Wei. What are you doing chatting with her here for? There's a bunch of journalists waiting outside the school to interview you. Chapter 922, Science Top Scholar. Crushing the Scum in Progress. _2. Qian Jinfeng was like a proud peacock, acting as if nobody was good enough to match her son. Her son was the second highest scorer. If this were ancient times, he could have climbed straight up the ranks to a high official position. What about Ni Yang? Ni Yang was just a country bumpkin. A worthless private entrepreneur. Did she think she could aspire to her son's level? She was utterly lacking in self-awareness. Li Dongliang said to Li Wei as he pulled him along, let's go, let's go. Son, we must hurry. We don't want the journalists to get anxious. This was Li Dongliang's first time being on television in all his years. Though it was his son who scored second, he, as the father, basked in the reflected glory. Li Wei looked back at Ni Yang, they'll be going ahead then, don't be too sad. After all, grades don't represent everything. Let's go, Qian Jinfeng urged as she walked away. Son, why waste words on her? You're not even from the same world as her. Han Xiaoyu looked back at the Li family of three and curiously asked, Yang, you know that second highest scorer? Ni Yang nodded without hiding anything. I met him back when I was running a noodle stall. Han Xiaoyu exclaimed, that's incredible. He even managed to become the top scorer in the entire city. At that time, earning the second highest score was an immense honor. It signified a bright future ahead. They walked and chatted until they reached the classroom in no time. There were already lots of people in the classroom, waiting just for the homeroom teacher to announce the results. Ni Yang's arrival once again caused a sensation. The looks from everyone were mixed, there was admiration, but also mockery, schadenfreude, and other complicated expressions all intertwined. You see, Ni Yang used to often rank first in the entire school, but now, the second highest score had been snagged by someone from class 4. That was a bit strange. Before this, everyone thought that Ni Yang would at least rank within the top 3. But now that the results were out, she didn't even make a splash. I think her high scores in the previous exams were all cheated. I agree. TSK, what a shameless act. I really thought she was something. Turns out it was all copied. Among them, Zhou Xuemei was the happiest. She had despised Ni Yang since the day of the transfer student exam. Ni Yang was not only pretty but also had great grades. As soon as she arrived at city number 3 high, she was nicknamed the school beauty. At that time, Zhou Xuemei had found it strange. How could there be such a perfect person in this world? Pretty and smart? Normally, pretty people aren't very bright. So, it was all cheating. Zhou Xuemei looked at Ni Yang and said sarcastically, TSK, you still have the nerve to come to school to check your scores? If I were you, I'd be too ashamed to show up. Ni Yang raised her eyebrows slightly, why should I feel ashamed to come here? Zhou Xuemei had suffered at Ni Yang's hands before and didn't dare to be too aggressive, tauntingly saying, "Ni Yang, you used to often rank first in the whole school, didn't you? Why so quiet this time? Not only did you not score high, but Brother Away also got the second highest score. I remember, every time, your grades were way above Brother Away's." Zhou Xuemei. What do you mean by that? Han Xiaoyu stood up and looked at Zhou Xuemei. Means she cheated, can't you understand? Zhou Xuemei stood with hands on hips. Don't talk nonsense. Yang would never cheat. Han Xiaoyu was furious. She had great faith in Ni Yang's character and knew Ni Yang would never cheat. Perhaps this time it was just a fluke on Ni Yang's part. It's normal to mess up under the intense atmosphere of the examination room. Zhou Xuemei retorted, if there was no cheating, then how come she didn't get the scores during the college entrance exam? Always first place during regular tests, but exposed during the college entrance exam. She still has the nerve to say she didn't cheat. What a shameless claim. It's easy to cheat during regular tests, but the college entrance exam was so strict that there was no possibility of cheating, which is why Ni Yang didn't achieve a high score. With these words, the classmates around nodded in agreement, finding Zhou Xuemei's words reasonable. Right, Zhou Xuemei is right, Ni Yang definitely cheated. I was wondering how she always managed such good grades, always coming first. It turns out she cheated her way to the top. Han Xiaoyu, less articulate than Zhou Xuemei, was beside herself with anger and didn't know what to say. She pointed at Zhou Xuemei and stammered, You. What are you talking about? Chapter 923, Science Top Scholar. Crushing the Scum in Progress. _3. Let it go, Xiaoyu, why even bother talking to such people? Ni Yang said with a smile as she pulled Han Xiaoyu back to her seat. Seeing Ni Yang react this way only made Zhou Xuemei even more arrogant. Look how guilty you are. That's just disgusting. To think you plagiarized. You've totally disgraced our school and our class. Cheater. Ni Yang could keep her composure, but Han Xiaoyu could not. Yang. Look at them. Look at that Zhou Xuemei. How could she falsely accuse you like this? Yang, why aren't you angry at all? Ni Yang was very calm and smiled. The innocent have nothing to be angry about. Don't be mad either, Xiaoyu. Oh, I brought you some snacks. In situations like this, the best response is to keep silent. Han Xiaoyu was a real food lover. Upon hearing about food, her eyes lit up. What kind of snack? Ni Yang took out a cup of New York milk tea and a box of glutinous rice dumplings from her backpack and handed them to Han Xiaoyu. Ah! Yang. I love you so much. Han Xiaoyu hugged Ni Yang excitedly. Han Xiaoyu loved New York milk tea and their sweets, but there was always a long queue for New York milk tea, and some of the items were limited editions, not always available even if you had the money. Ni Yang had her ways, always managing to get them. I'll pay you. Han Xiaoyu pulled out 50 cents and handed it to Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled and said, You always insist on paying, but we are about to graduate. This treat is on me. Although Han Xiaoyu loved her food, she never took advantage of Ni Yang. Even if Ni Yang refused to take money, she insisted on giving it to her. Teacher's office. It wasn't just the students of Class 5 who were taken by surprise, but also the homeroom teachers of various classes. Everyone thought Ni Yang would surely be in the top 3. Unexpectedly, the second top spot went to someone from the neighboring Class 4. Ni Yang didn't make even a splash. Such a disappointment. Coincidentally, Zhang Chang taught Class 4. He walked up to Teacher Su, all smiles. Teacher Su, hasn't the admissions office called you yet? With Ni Yang's marks, she should at least be the city's top scholar, right? That last remark was clearly meant to be sarcastic. If a school had a student scoring in the top 3, the city admissions office would notify them in advance. Journalists would also arrange to come for interviews in advance. That's why everyone else didn't know their scores yet, but Li Wei had already been informed he was the second top scorer. Before Ni Yang was assigned to his class, Zhang Chang was incredibly envious, especially seeing her score first in the whole school. Unexpectedly, she didn't have what it takes. Her past achievements were clearly plagiarized. Such people reveal their true colors come examination time. Everyone thought Ni Yang was a dragon, but it turned out she was just a pool of pus. How disappointed Zhang Chang had been before, he was now equally triumphant. Second top in the city. A student taught by him. Fortunately, Ni Yang wasn't moved directly to his class back then, or he would have been the laughing stock now. Zhang Chang patted Teacher Su on the shoulder. "Ah, Teacher Su, don't be too upset. Such rankings are not that important. Not every student can score high. It's already quite an achievement for our school to have Li Wei from our class as the second top scorer." As he finished speaking, Zhang Chang looked toward the principal and continued, "Principal, the journalists are waiting at the door to interview me. I'll head over there first. You should come soon too, they'll definitely want to interview the school's principal." "All right," the principal nodded. Actually, the principal was also very disappointed with Ni Yang. He had thought that Ni Yang would definitely clinch the city's top scholar spot. He had even bragged to the principals of the neighboring number 1 and number 2 schools, claiming that this year's city top scholar would undoubtedly be from their school, only to be blindsided by Ni Yang's performance. Fortunately, the city's second top scholar was still from their school. Otherwise, it would have been a complete disgrace. On reflecting upon this, the principal felt a bit better. He sighed and said, "Teacher Su, what's going on with Ni Yang? Her previous performance wasn't really plagiarized, was it? It's true what they say, the greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. Previously, Ni Yang had done so well, every teacher used her as a model for their classes, her name always on their lips, even her essays used as examples. Now, everyone wished they could go back and tell their past selves off. Isn't this presenting students with a negative example?" Chapter 924, Science Top Scholar. Crushing the Scum in Progress. _4. Teacher Su pushed up his glasses. "No, I believe our Ni Yang wouldn't plagiarize." As a teacher, Mr. Su had great faith in Ni Yang's character. He believed she wouldn't plagiarize. With Ni Yang's character, she wouldn't even dignify that by stooping to do such a thing. The principal sighed again, but the fact that Ni Yang didn't achieve the results is true. Just like Teacher Zhang said, given Ni Yang's previous mock test scores, she should have at least secured the top position in the city. If not that, at least she should have been among the top 3, right? You know, her previous results were much better than those of Li Wei. Now that Ni Yang didn't achieve the scores, how could everyone trust her? Teacher Su pushed his glasses up again. "I'll call the city admissions office and ask." Zhang Chang shook his head. "Teacher Su, you should face reality. I think Ni Yang has been academically dishonest, that's why she resorted to these stealthy tactics." Teacher Su was very angry. But he couldn't refute without evidence, his rebuttals had no grounding. Just as he was about to make a call, the phone on the desk rang. "Hello, good day," Teacher Su answered the phone. It was not clear what was said on the other end, but Teacher Zu's expression gradually hardened, and after a long pause, he finally said, What did you say?" The person on the other line repeated the words. "Really? The top scorer in the city's exam is really our Ni Yang." Teacher Su jumped up excitedly. Even though he was in his 50s, he was as joyful as a child at that moment. "Comrade, are you sure there's no mistake? This is City High School number 3, I am Su Lei, the homeroom teacher of senior year class 5, he said, holding the handset in one hand and picking up a piece of paper with the other hand, continuing, our Ni Yang's examination registration number is 340823, yes, Teacher Su, this year's science subject top scorer in the exams is your student Ni Yang, who achieved a high score of 648 points. Moreover, she is also the national top scorer. Congratulations. Teacher Su was almost floating. 648 points. You must know, the total possible score was only 650. What did Ni Yang eat to grow up with? How could she be so brilliant? Thank you. Thank you, comrade. I'll treat you to a meal sometime, Teacher Su, overwhelmed with excitement, blurted out. Just as he was about to hang up the phone, he suddenly thought of something. Right, comrade, wasn't the top scorer usually notified in advance? Why was it so late this time? They had thought that Ni Yang's previous results were false, so she didn't do well in the exams. The person on the other end explained, because Ni Yang's results were so exceptional, our admissions office had to review them several times. Initially, when the admissions office learned of Ni Yang's results, they even suspected that there might have been errors during the marking of the papers. Thus, they conducted several detailed checks and after confirming there were no issues, they finally dared to call Teacher Su. Teacher Su nodded, "Oh, I see. Comrade, you really worked hard." As soon as Teacher Su hung up the phone, the principal, who couldn't wait any longer, grabbed Teacher Zu's arm and asked, "Teacher Su, was that a call from the city admissions office?" Teacher Su nodded. The principal continued, Ni Yang won the top position in the city? Teacher Su nodded again. The top position in the city? It was really the top position in the city. The principal thought he was hallucinating and asked several times over. Then, the principal asked, "Then why didn't the city admissions office notify us earlier?" Teacher Su explained the process again, and after hearing it, the principal was stunned. What? 648 points. Ni Yang scored 648 points. Yes. Teacher Su nodded, continuing, the comrade from the city admissions office also said that Ni Yang is not only the city's top scorer but also the national top scorer in science. Really? The principal was ecstatic. Really? Teacher Su was even happier than the principal. It felt like being vindicated after being falsely accused. Just 10 minutes earlier, so many people were doubting that Ni Yang's previous results were plagiarized, but in the blink of an eye, Ni Yang had won the city's top position. It felt incredibly satisfying. The principal continued, Teacher Su, I apologize. I wronged your student, Ni Yang. She is truly amazing. Teacher Su pushed up his glasses. It's not much for me, but Ni Yang might feel a bit wronged. Just a moment ago, when I passed by the classroom, I saw many people accusing her of plagiarism. Chapter 925, Science Top Scholar. Crushing the Scum in Progress. _5. Upon hearing this, the principal's face showed a hint of guilt, and he apologized somewhat embarrassedly, I'm really sorry, Teacher Su, I shouldn't have doubted Ni Yang. Rest assured, I will personally apologize to Ni Yang. Teacher Su laughed and said, Principal, you are being too serious. Our class Ni Yang is not the petty type, she probably didn't even take this matter to heart. Exactly. Our national topper definitely isn't petty. The principal excitedly patted Teacher Zu's shoulder, Teacher Su. You are truly amazing, to have taught a national topper. Just then, when Teacher Zhao from Class 2 of senior year entered, he overheard this remark. National topper? He asked somewhat confused, has Beijing produced a national topper? From which school? The principal excitedly said, it's Ni Yang from Teacher Zu's class. Truly, Teacher Su deserves great credit for teaching such a talent. National topper? Not to mention Third City Middle School, even Beijing hadn't produced a national topper in a long time. Is there some mistake? Teacher Zhao expressed doubt. Hadn't he heard that Ni Yang's past achievements were plagiarized? How had she suddenly become a national topper? Also, weren't the top 3 ranks usually notified in advance? The principal arrogantly said, the city admissions office personally called, how could there be a mistake? Teacher Su knew about Teacher Zhao's doubts and explained the reasons to him. Teacher Zhao said enviously, Teacher Su, you are really incredible. Having taught a national topper, Teacher Zu's future is truly boundless. Before this, Teacher Zhao's most admired person was Zhang Chang, as Zhang Chang's class had a student who became city's second best. But now, Teacher Su had actually taught a national topper. Could a city's second best compare to a national topper? Next to the national topper, the city's second best couldn't even be seen. Teacher Su humbly said, not at all, I just taught casually, the talented one is Ni Yang from our class. Before long, everyone in the office knew about Ni Yang being the national topper. Everyone gathered around Teacher Su, expressing admiration. Just a short while ago, people were doubting Ni Yang's plagiarism and scoffing at Teacher Su, but now, the tables had turned. It would be false to say they weren't pleased and proud. The honor of being a national topper was enough for Teacher Su to be proud for a lifetime. Teacher Su smiled and said, I won't talk much longer with you all, I'm off to announce the college entrance exam results to our class. Ni Yang must be getting anxious. The principal quickly said, go. Don't keep Ni Yang waiting. Teacher Su entered the classroom, everyone, quiet down, I'm about to announce the college entrance exam results. Hearing this, the classroom immediately fell silent. Teacher Su started reading out the scores one by one. Li Xiaoman, 498 points. Han Xiaoyu, 588 points. 588 points. Hearing this score, Han Xiaoyu was thrilled, hugging Ni Yang tightly, Yang, pinch me, see if I'm dreaming. Although Han Xiaoyu's usual test scores were not low, the college entrance exam papers were very tough this time, and high scores were generally rare. This was why Li Wei, with a score of 608, managed to secure the second best rank in science. 588 points had just touched a cutoff line, how could Han Xiaoyu not be thrilled? Ni Yang smiled and pinched her cheek, relax, you're not dreaming. Zhou Xuemei sat right behind them, TSK. What's there to be proud of? Cheating dog. Ni Yang didn't pay her any mind. On stage, Teacher Su continued announcing the scores, Zhou Xuemei, 591 points. Zhou Xuemei scored 3 points higher than Han Xiaoyu. She was extremely proud, waving her score sheet in front of Ni Yang and whispered, see? 591 points. Jealous, our school's number 1? Teacher Su intentionally left Ni Yang's score for last, so it took a long time without mentioning Ni Yang's score. So, everyone speculated whether Ni Yang even reached the third-tier college admission score, which is why Teacher Su delayed announcing it. For a moment, the looks towards Ni Yang became even more complex. After announcing everyone else's scores, Teacher Su tapped the ruler and then said, next, the teacher has an important announcement. The class quieted down. Teacher Su swallowed, then continued, this time, our class has produced a national topper. National topper? As these words were spoken, everyone's expressions varied. Chapter 926, Science Top Scholar. Crushing the Scum in Progress. _6. All the scores were reported, and their class didn't have a single person who scored over 600. Who could the national top scorer be? Could Teacher Su be dreaming? It was at this moment, Han Xiaoyu suddenly realized that there was still one person whose score hadn't been announced. She turned her head to look at Ni Yang. Could it be you are the national top scorer? Because the classroom was particularly quiet, Han Xiaoyu's voice seemed especially loud. Upon hearing this, Zhou Xiaomei burst out laughing. Han Xiaoyu, are you dreaming? She could be the first in the nation. Everyone knows that high scorers get notified early. There's no way the runner-up from the class next door has appeared, and the top scorer of the city hasn't. Logically, the top scorer of the National College entrance examination should be notified even earlier. Following Zhou Zuimai's laughter, other students in the class also laughed along. Teacher Su, stop joking around with us. Who in our class could possibly be the national top scorer? Teacher Su pushed his glasses up and said with a smile, I am not joking with you guys. The person who is the national top scorer is Ni Yang. As he spoke, Teacher Su personally brought the score report to Ni Yang. Ni Yang, congratulations. You achieved an outstanding score of 648. Not only are you the science top scorer of our city, but also the national science top scorer. Ni Yang was still a bit stunned at this moment. She knew her scores weren't too bad, but she had never imagined that she would accidentally become the number one in science. Thank you, Teacher Su. Ni Yang stood up and reached out with both hands to receive the score report. The classroom, which was somewhat noisy, suddenly quieted down. 648 points. 648 points. What did 648 points represent? It meant that Ni Yang must have scored full marks in at least 5 subjects. That was terrifying. The students who had mocked Ni Yang were now frozen, faces full of complex expressions. Especially Zhou Xiaomei, whose face had all the colors of the rainbow, looking extremely amusing. Just now, she had been so proud of her 591 points, not expecting that Ni Yang would become the city's top scorer in an instant. Moreover, she had just viciously mocked Ni Yang. Now her face was in unprecedented pain. And it was especially hard for her to digest. Why did Ni Yang get to be first? Did she cheat? But there was absolutely no chance of cheating in the college entrance examination. Zhou Xiaomei was suffering so much. Her heart twisted with envy. Teacher Su brought over an exaggeratedly big red flower and wanted Ni Yang to wear it. However, Ni Yang kindly refused. Being humble at the right time was still necessary. Teacher Su didn't insist on Ni Yang wearing it. Not wearing the big red flower couldn't take away the fact that she was the national top scorer. After announcing the scores, Teacher Su led everyone out to take the graduation photo. Yang, you have to treat me to a meal. You definitely have to. Han Xiaoyu was even happier than if she had become the national top scorer herself. She just knew Ni Yang hadn't cheated. It was all about winning that pride. Of course, that's a given. Tell me, where do you want to eat? Han Xiaoyu said with a smile, I can pick anywhere. Of course. Ni Yang nodded. Han Xiaoyu said, then, can I pick National Beauty for a big meal? Ni Yang nodded, no problem at all. Seeing Ni Yang agree so earnestly, Han Xiaoyu laughed, I'm just joking with you. I've heard that National Beauty is not only super expensive, but it also requires a membership card. Otherwise, you have to wait in line. It's not a place that just anyone can go into so easily. You treating me to a bowl of noodles would be great. Han Xiaoyu was just teasing Ni Yang, never intending to really go to Xianxia for a meal. Ni Yang smiled and said, I was just joking with you too. She planned to give Han Xiaoyu a surprise quietly. When they went out to take their graduation photos, a bunch of journalists were interviewing the salutatorian, his family, as well as Zhang Chang at the campus gate. Li Wei saw Ni Yang and her classmates walking from that direction, his face full of a sense of superiority. Ni Yang must be envious of him now. After all, he was the salutatorian. But some things, even if envied, could not be obtained. Just then, a journalist extended the microphone and asked, "Li Wei, as our city's salutatorian, can you tell us about your self-awareness?" Li Wei was about to answer when a large group of journalists surged in from outside, and he was startled. Were all these journalists here to interview him? It must be so. After all, he was the city's salutatorian. A rare genius seen once in a century. Thinking this, Li Wei straightened his collar. He wanted to be on television in his best spiritual state. Because then, everyone in the country, including Ni Yang, would see him. Just as Li Wei was about to answer the journalist's question, the journalist's pager suddenly rang. The journalist glanced at the pager and his excited expression changed. Oh my God! The national top scholar. It's been years since Beijing produced a national top scholar. Everyone wanted to interview this national top scholar first. The journalist quickly pulled the microphone away from Li Wei and ran with the others towards the campus. Li Wei was dumbfounded. Weren't these people here to interview him? The national top scholar? Did someone from City No. 3 High School become the national top scholar? Li Wei suddenly felt his brain wasn't quite keeping up. Did their school really produce a national top scholar? That shouldn't be right. If there really was a national top scholar, one would expect the news to have been posted earlier, not waited until now. Qian Jinfeng very dissatisfiedly said, "What are these journalists doing? Have they gone mad? Xiao Wei, don't pay any attention to them later when they come begging to interview you." Zhang Chang also felt quite baffled, because he was so eager to come out for the interview. Zhang Chang completely missed the news about Ni Yang being the national top scholar. At that moment, a breathless journalist stopped in front of Li Wei and took out a microphone. "Hello, student, are you Li Wei, the salutatorian of the science division in Beijing this year?" Subsequently, many other journalists also took out their microphones. Seeing this, Li Wei breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed there were still people who wanted to interview him. Those journalists must have made a mistake, they would come back soon. Li Wei straightened his back and continued, "Yes. I am Li Wei." Qian Jinfeng hurried over and said, "I am Li Wei's mother, Qian Jinfeng. The salutatorian is my son." It was her first time on television, and Qian Jinfeng was particularly excited, even wearing light makeup and a skirt she usually didn't wear. She couldn't wait to announce to the whole world that she had a son who had become the salutatorian. Li Dongliang, of course, wouldn't miss this good opportunity to be on TV. "I am the father of the salutatorian, Li Dongliang." Zhang Chang cleared his throat, "I am the homeroom teacher of student Li Wei." The journalist continued, "Li Wei, do you know the national top scholar Ni Yang? Are you in the same class as her? What's her usual attitude towards studying like? How much do you know about her?" Chapter 927, Just Like This, Conquered by You. Although we couldn't interview the national top scholar, interviewing a fellow alumnus is also possible. Perhaps the alumnus knows some exclusive news. Upon hearing this, Li Wei was stunned. What? He only felt a buzzing noise around his ears. The national top scholar? Ni Yang is the national top scholar? Was he experiencing auditory hallucinations? The others around him wore the same expression as Li Wei. Seeing that Li Wei hadn't spoken for a while, the journalist continued, "Student, Li Wei, are you listening?" Li Wei then came to his senses. "Ah, I'm listening." The journalist repeated the previous question. Li Wei didn't answer the journalist's question but instead asked, Ni Yang, scored the national top scholar? This was simply too unbelievable. How could Ni Yang possibly score the national top scholar? What in the world was going on? Just a second ago, Li Wei was basking in the joy of having secured the second highest city rank, but the next second, he felt like he had fallen into an ice cellar. A chill spread throughout his body. Zhang Chang beside him was completely flustered. How could Ni Yang have achieved the national top scholar? If she had scored the national top scholar, why hadn't there been any indication beforehand? Comrade journalist, you must have made a mistake, Zhang Chang said with a stiff smile. Our school only has one second highest city ranker, and that's our classmate Li Wei. Ni Yang wasn't one who cheated, was she? How could she possibly score the national top scholar? This had to be a mistake. He was the only outstanding teacher this year. Just then, a commotion arose from behind. Here they come. Over there. The one beside the principal is the national top scholar. Let's hurry over. The journalists who had originally surrounded Li Wei, in that instant, all ran off. Li Wei also turned his head to look. He saw Ni Yang being surrounded by a crowd, walking this way, like the moon surrounded by a halo of stars. She really was the national top scholar? Li Wei licked his dry lips, not knowing quite what to feel. Qian Jinfeng was about to go mad. The most brilliant person was supposed to be her son. How could that cheap girl Ni Yang become the national top scholar? Wasn't she just a small business owner? How could she take away all the journalists? Come back. All of you come back. My son is the runner-up. Don't you want to know about his study methods? Mom, stop it. Li Wei pulled Qian Jinfeng back. Aren't you ashamed? Reluctantly, Qian Jinfeng closed her mouth. These people are crazy. Crazy. They leave you, the runner-up, uninterviewed, to actually go interview that small business owner. Who knows if her national top scholar title is even real? Qian Jinfeng said. Li Wei sighed. If you question whether hers is fake, others could also question if my second highest city rank is fake. Mom, stop talking nonsense. The college entrance exam is a serious matter. Be careful of bringing trouble with your words. Hearing this, Zhang Chang nodded in agreement. That's right, Li Wei's mother, Li Wei is right. You could end up being legally responsible. The college entrance examination was so strict that it was absolutely impossible for cheating to occur. Frightened, Qian Jinfeng quickly covered her mouth. Zhang Chang suppressed the discomfort at the bottom of his heart, patted Li Wei on the shoulder. Li Wei, even though Ni Yang scored the national top scholar, you shouldn't be discouraged. You secured the second highest city rank. The teacher is already very happy. This is the first time I have taught a student who achieved such a rank. As a teacher, one must not say things that could harm a student's spirits at times like this. Zhang Chang wasn't a muddle-headed person either. Li Wei nodded. I understand, Teacher Zhang. Li Wei truly felt bitter. He had been proud of having scored the second highest city rank and had even advised Ni Yang not to be discouraged. But unexpectedly, the situation had turned upside down in an instant. He was merely the second highest city ranker. How could he compare with Ni Yang? Xiao Wei, don't be sad, you are still the pride of your father's heart. Li Dongliang patted Li Wei on the shoulder. Li Wei nodded again, then turned his head to look over at Ni Yang. At that moment, Ni Yang was being interviewed by journalists. Upon seeing Ni Yang, the journalists were quite amazed. Who said that good students weren't pretty? Look how beautiful Ni Yang is. No matter from which angle the camera shot, there were no blind spots. Moreover, not only was Ni Yang beautiful, but she also had an excellent demeanor, without the typical nerdy air of someone who had buried themselves in books. She was youthful and vibrant, truly a representative of contemporary students. Ni Yang, when did you find out you were the national top scholar? Asked a journalist. Ni Yang, how are you feeling right now? Chapter 928, Just Like This, Conquered by You. _2. Can you share your regular study methods with the viewers in front of the television? Ni Yang, confronted with the many questions from the journalists, wasn't at all stage frightened. She adjusted the microphone and leaned forward slightly. I just found out about this news myself. As for how I feel, it would be false to say I'm not happy, since one of the 3 great joys in life is to see one's name on the golden list. If someone said they were not thrilled and were calm at such a time, it would be far too fake. After all, even Ni Yang hadn't expected that she would become the national valedictorian in science. Though she was happy, she was not impulsive. She was like an orchid blooming in a quiet valley, serene and delightful. Then can you share your regular study methods with us? The journalist asked again. Ni Yang replied lightly, actually, achieving good results is inseparable from the guidance of my teachers. I am very grateful to all my teachers for their painstaking instruction. Teachers, you have worked hard. At the end of her statement, Ni Yang offered a slight bow. What is this called? This is called remembering the source of the water when drinking it. You cannot let success make you arrogant and forget the hard work of your teachers. In her past and present lives, Ni Yang had always been a businessperson. She knew how to build good relationships and that one must be adept in handling various situations. Hearing this, Teacher Su and the teachers of other subjects were overjoyed. Ni Yang was just too sensible. What does it mean to have a proud student? This is what it means to have a proud student. The journalists immediately passed the microphone to the teachers, letting them share their educational insights with everyone. The Chinese, mathematics, English teachers, and so on were all surrounded by the journalists in an impenetrable crowd. Since the reinstatement of the college entrance examination in 1977, No. 3 high school in the city had never seen such excitement. After interviewing in a circle, another wave of commotion spread through the crowd. The mayor is here. It really is the mayor. At this time, the mayor coming over was obviously here to commend the national valedictorian. The journalists quickly gathered around. The mayor was extremely excited. Keep in mind that Ni Yang scored first in the national science examination. She not only brought glory to the school, but she also brought glory to Beijing. Besides, Ni Yang's total score was 648 points. There was a 20-point gap between her and the second place. Yet between the second and the third place, there was only a 2-point gap, and only a 1-point gap between the third and the fourth place. The gaps between the fourth, fifth, and subsequent places were at most 3 points. But Ni Yang had outpaced them all by a long shot. It goes without saying how formidable Ni Yang's ability really was. Hello Ni Yang, the mayor extended his hand. I am Wu Jianhai, the mayor of Beijing, and on behalf of all the citizens, I congratulate you on achieving the national valedictorian in science. Ni Yang shook hands with the mayor. Thank you, Mayor Wu. Having become the national valedictorian, the reward was certainly not going to be meager. The mayor then presented Ni Yang with a cash reward of 5,000 yuan. Naturally, to be fair and just, as this year's city salutatorian, Li Wei also received a reward of 500 yuan. The country values education highly. These individuals are the future pillars of the nation. Clutching the 500 yuan in his hand, Li Wei couldn't quite pinpoint his feelings. In the 80s, 500 yuan was a lot. A regular family could not earn 500 yuan in a year. If it had been an hour earlier, Li Wei would certainly have been overjoyed. But now, he couldn't feel happy at all. Compared to Ni Yang's 5,000 yuan, what was his 500 yuan? He felt like a complete joke. Li Wei jerked off the big red flower from his chest, just about to throw it into the trash, but as he reached out halfway, it was as though he reconsidered something and withdrew his hand, putting the flower back on. Today was his high school graduation day, and if this act was spotted by others, it might invite criticism. He couldn't be like this. Although he did not score as well as Ni Yang, he was still the salutatorian, and he could not lose his dignity. After composing himself, Li Wei approached Ni Yang. Ni Yang, congratulations to you. Thank you, Ni Yang smiled faintly. As Li Wei was about to say more, he was abruptly pulled away by Qian Jinfeng. So the national valedictorian is a big deal, huh? The wheel turns, what's on top today may be on the bottom tomorrow, it's still unknown what the future holds. Xiao Wei, let's not bother with her. Li Wei, feeling very uncomfortable at the moment, had no desire to argue with Qian Jinfeng, offered Ni Yang an apologetic smile, and left with Qian Jinfeng. After the journalists conducted their interviews, Class 5 began to arrange for the graduation photo. Chapter 929, Just Like This, Conquered by You. _3. In an era where communication technology was not advanced, graduation photos were still very important. After today's farewell, some people might never have the chance to meet each other again in their lifetime. Unlike later generations, where you can keep in touch through WeChat, QQ, back then, even big cell phones weren't produced yet. Hence, Ni Yang brought her family's camera specially today. After the graduation picture, she could also take individual photos with other classmates. Yang, take several more pictures for us, Han Xiaoyu urged as she and a female classmate struck the classic scissor hands pose. Okay, Ni Yang pressed the shutter and took several shots. At that time, not many families could afford a camera, so more and more classmates came to Ni Yang for photos. Ni Yang did not refuse anyone, fulfilling everyone's requests regardless of gender. After the photos, Ni Yang also collected everyone's home addresses, planning to mail the developed pictures later. Seeing that Ni Yang was also going to handle the mailing, classmates started offering money. Film for the camera and postage costs money, doesn't it? Ni Yang declined with a smile, consider it a graduation gift from me. This was an excellent opportunity to establish connections. Class 5 students had performed exceedingly well, and their future prospects were boundless. Even the most unremarkable one now had endless possibilities in the future. You should never underestimate anyone at any time. After taking photos, a few teachers were especially happy and planned to treat the whole class to a meal, which was essentially a parting gathering, as it would be difficult to get everyone together like this again after today. Hearing that teachers were treating them, all the classmates were overjoyed and cheered immediately. Several teachers took everyone to a state-owned restaurant. Though teachers' salaries weren't high at the time, their class had a country's top scorer, and the overall college entrance rate was very good, so there would definitely be rewards from above. Hence, the teachers didn't skimp on ordering, anything on the menu was fair game, and they ordered more than 20 dishes of meat alone. With 60 people in Class 5, plus the teachers making it over 60, 20 dishes wasn't a lot for teenagers with big appetites. When life is successful, one should enjoy to the fullest. Ni Yang was the star of the gathering. She raised her glass and toasted everyone, thank you for looking after me this past year, teachers and classmates. I'll drink to that first. A full glass of white liquor, and Ni Yang didn't even frown as she downed it. Being a successful businessperson, how could she not drink? Ni Yang's tolerance was honed in her past life. Seeing Ni Yang so hearty, her classmates at the table were astounded. Ni Yang, you really can hold your liquor. Wow! Ni Yang, I thought you didn't drink. Ni Yang was so beautiful, who knew she could drink too? It was really surprising. The teachers were also surprised, fearing that their own tolerance might not match Ni Yang's. Ni Yang smiled and said, my mother also has good tolerance, probably it's genetic. After a round of toasts, everyone began to feast heartily. Current times, everyone's home food was generally not rich, but today's meal with meat and alcohol made them extremely happy. The mood was infectious, and even the girls who usually abstained from alcohol began toasting each other. An hour later, everyone was slightly tipsy. As they ate, the atmosphere suddenly turned sentimental. After all, after this meal, everyone would be going their separate ways. Groups of classmates started sharing their heartfelt thoughts, unable to part from each other. Yang, which university are you applying to? Han Xiaoyu asked Yang. Yihua University, Yang replied. Since Yihua University was in Beijing, it was easier for Yang to look after her business. Han Xiaoyu sighed, if only my scores could reach the threshold, would apply to Yihua University too. Unfortunately, her scores were just enough for a first-tier university. Yang lifted her glass, her lips curving into a light dimple. Don't worry, Xiaoyu, we're both in Beijing, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to meet in the future. Rest assured, our friendship will never change, no matter what. Han Xiaoyu raised her glass to Yang's. You're right, Yang. No matter what, our friendship will always remain the same. With that, Han Xiaoyu also emulated Yang, finishing her drink in one gulp. Chapter 930, Just like this, I am conquered by you. _4. The cheap liquor burned as it went down, inexplicably choking. Han Xiaoyu's eyes reddened from the choking, and she hugged Yang tightly. Yang, I've decided, I'm going to normal university in Beijing and become a teacher. I'll teach a batch after batch of national top scholars. Good, Yang nodded. Dinner lasted more than 2 hours before finally breaking up. On the way back, Teacher Su found Yang alone. Yang, are you going to apply for Yihua University? Yang nodded, yes. Teacher Su continued, Principal said that with your grades, going to Harvard would be no problem at all. Haven't you considered Harvard? Yang not only had no problems getting into Harvard, but Harvard would also waive all tuition and fees, provide free room and board, and once Yang filled out the application for Harvard, her household registration would also be transferred to M country along with her student status, making her an official citizen of M country. This was something many people yearned for but couldn't achieve, and yet Yang was actually considering Yihua University. Yihua University was very good, too, but Harvard was, after all, world-ranked, and the difference between these two prestigious universities was significant. Yang smiled and said, Yihua is quite good, besides, my parents are both in Beijing, and I don't want to go too far away. Teacher Su nodded his head. Actually, thinking from another angle, Yang's choice of Yihua University wasn't bad either, as she would be able to contribute to the country after graduation. If she went abroad, with her talents, America would surely do everything possible to keep her. In that case, the country would lose a talent. When Yang got home, the family hadn't started dinner yet, everyone was waiting for Yang to come back and dine together. After all, today was a big day for Yang. Even Shengguan Shi and Shengguan Su hadn't left the house. Seeing that Yang came back so late, everyone thought that Yang might not have performed very well, and they didn't dare to ask directly about her scores for fear of discouraging her. Grandpa Zheng smiled and said, Yang's back, come and eat. Yang said in surprise, Grandpa, you haven't eaten yet? I'm so sorry, it's all my fault. I got carried away and forgot you were all waiting for me at home. Please, go ahead and eat. Yang truly hadn't expected everyone to be waiting at home for her to have dinner together. If she'd known this, she would have called ahead no matter what. Excited? Grandpa Zheng was taken aback. Could it be that Yang had done well? Otherwise, why forget to call home being so excited? Yang, how did you do? Grandpa Zheng asked. Yang smiled mysteriously, Grandpa, have you got that cart of firecrackers ready? A cart of firecrackers. Upon hearing this, Grandpa Zheng couldn't believe his ears. Yang, did you get into first-tier university? Yang shook her head, no. The smile stayed on Grandpa Zheng's face. It's okay if it's not first-tier, even getting into second-tier university is enough for me to buy a cart of firecrackers. Yang smiled and said, Grandpa, I didn't get into a second-tier university either. Then what did you get into? Grandpa Zheng asked in confusion. Third tier? Grandma Zheng interrupted Grandpa Zheng. You old fool, is it not a university if it's not one of those tiers? As far as I'm concerned, as long as she gets into any university, that's fine. What's all this about second tier and third tier? Yang, don't listen to your grandpa. Grandma Zheng was a very cultured person and rarely used foul language. Today, she had been irritated by Grandpa Zheng. She was afraid Grandpa Zheng might hurt Ni Yang's self-esteem. Ni Yang looked up at the people by the table. Grandma, Grandpa, Grandma, parents, big brother, sister Xiaoxi, I scored 648 points in total and am this year's science top scholar. As soon as these words came out, the room went silent instantly. Science top scholar? Ni Yang actually became the science top scholar. Was this an illusion? What? Grandpa Zheng grabbed Ni Yang's hand. Yang, what did you say? Grandpa, you heard right, I'm this year's science top scholar, Ni Yang said. Grandpa Zheng's voice trembled. Top scholar? Yes, Ni Yang nodded. Goodness. Science top scholar. Yang, you're not joking with us, are you? Grandpa Zheng was so excited he was almost incoherent. No, Ni Yang shook her head. Shengguan, she stood up excitedly. Is it our city's science top scholar? Ni Yang smiled and said, the national science top scholar. National? My goodness. Grandpa Zheng's eyes welled up with excitement. This must be Grandpa Zheng's ancestors blessing the Zheng family. I'll go notify our relatives right away. Grandma Zheng quickly headed upstairs. Chapter 931, Just like this, I am conquered by you. _5. I also need to tell Furong and the others. Old Lady Shengguan also stood up. The two elders couldn't wait to announce it to the world. Shengguan Su stood up and said, Yang, congratulations. When you become successful, you can't forget your big brother. Ni Yang smiled and said, don't worry, I definitely won't. Ni Tsuhua looked at Ni Yang, feeling a flood of emotions, her eyes slightly reddened. Shengguan Dehui knew Ni Yang was smart. From the start, he knew Ni Yang wouldn't perform poorly, but he never expected that Ni Yang would actually top the national science exam. This kid had completely exceeded his expectations. Shengguan Dehui smiled and said, Yang, with your scores, getting into Harvard is no problem at all. It seems this year Beijing University, Yihua University, and Harvard will have a tough competition over you. There are many top scorers, but national top scorers are only 2 each year. All the major universities are vying for them. The lengths they go to snatch the top scorers each year are simply endless. Ni Yang said, I don't want to go abroad. I want to attend Yihua University. Yihua University? Shengguan Dehui was surprised since he was a professor at Yihua University. Ni Yang nodded. Yihua University is a century-old institution with strong faculty and a key university. Moreover, it's close to home, so I want to go to Yihua University. In Ni Yang's opinion, Yihua University was not inferior to Harvard. In his past life, some students from Harvard didn't even match up to those from Yihua. As long as you study well, it's the same wherever you are. Shengguan Dehui nodded. That's great, they'll go back and talk to our principal. He'll probably be overjoyed. Ni Yang scored the top national science spot, and the entire Ni family was extremely happy. At night, the news was broadcast on time. Grandpa Zheng, Grandma Zheng, and Old Lady Shengguan sat in front of the TV, glued to the screen, afraid of missing anything. After a while, Grandma Zheng excitedly pointed at the TV and said, Here it comes. Here it comes. Yang is on. Ting Ting. Dehui. Xiaoxiu, Xiaoxi. Come quickly. Yang is on. Hearing her voice, Shangguan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua dropped what they were doing and rushed over. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi also ran over. The calmest person in the family was Ni Yang. Having been a frequent guest on TV in his past life, he was quite used to it. Old lady Shangguan picked up the phone and dialed Shangguan Furong. Furong, you better turn on the TV right now, Yang Yang is already on. Shangguan Shi rested her chin on her palms and watched Ni Yang on TV. Yang Yang, is that male classmate over there from your class? Ni Yang turned his head, seems like he's from the next class. Although he didn't spend much time in class, he still recognized his classmates. Shangguan Shi poked Ni Yang's arm. I noticed he keeps sneaking glances at you. Does he have a crush on you? Ni Yang crossed his arms and said narcissistically, very likely. After all, the people who like me could circle the earth 3 or 4 times holding hands. Yang, you're really narcissistic. Grandma Zheng and old lady Shangguan were also amused by Ni Yang, this kid. Grandpa Zheng said seriously, Yang, don't forget you already have a boyfriend now. You can't behave recklessly behind old SX's back, that's wrong. Ni Yang, smiling, said, Grandpa, don't worry, I won't. I was just joking. Aren't you too unlovely? De Mingxian. Du Jiaojiao was watching the news in the living room, just in time to catch the broadcast about this year's national science topper. Du Jiaojiao was about to remark, this science topper is really good looking. Looking closely, wasn't that Ni Yang? Damn! Ni Yang actually became the national top scorer in science. Du Jiaojiao hurriedly called out to Du Yi, third brother. Third brother. Come here, something has happened. Du Yi walked out of the study room unhurriedly. What's up? Look at the TV. Quick, look. Du Jiaojiao pointed at the TV. Du Yi, still calm and composed, appearing as if he had expected it all along, countered, what's so strange about that? Du Jiaojiao took a sip of water and then said, last time I heard Yang Yang say he doesn't go to school much, I thought his grades were poor. But it turns out, that looks can be deceiving. Du Yi glanced at her, looks can be deceiving? Isn't that a pejorative phrase? Du Jiaojiao added, what I mean is, I didn't expect Ni Yang to be so good-looking and yet also perform so well academically. Aren't people with good grades usually nerds? Like Du Lei. Chapter 932, Just Like This, I Am Conquered by You. _6. Du Lei was the 8th child in the Du family and a true bookworm. His pet phrases always, Confucius says, and, thus and so, and such. Ni Yang didn't have a bit of this habit. Elder Du twirled his Buddha beads. There are many things you wouldn't think of. What do you mean? Du Jiaojiao turned back to look at Elder Du. Do you know Ni Yang well? Elder Du turned and walked towards the study. If there's nothing else, I'll head back to the study room now. Du Jiaojiao pointed at the TV. Aren't you going to watch? Watch it yourself. How boring. Du Jiaojiao rolled her eyes. She had once thought that maybe Elder Du liked Ni Yang. Now it seemed that Elder Du was still the same as before. A person without a heart. Elder Du returned to the study, picked up the brush, and continued with his painting. On the pure white canvas was the background of a brilliant night sky, surrounded by pitch-black jungle, a bonfire burning under a big tree. A strand of black hair fell from the tree. The fierce flames burned fiercely, threatening to destroy the painting. After a few more strokes, Elder Du put down the brush, rolled up the canvas, placed it in the cabinet, and picked up a Buddhist scripture to read softly. Buddhist scriptures had a calming effect. Soon after, Du Jiaojiao entered from outside, disdainfully saying, chanting scriptures, you're chanting again. She followed up by saying, the moon is very round tonight, let's go have a drink. Elder Du glanced over lightly, not awake yet? Du Jiaojiao waved her hand, fine, fine, I know you don't drink alcohol. Forget I asked. Jinghua Village. Ever since Elder Lu got a TV, almost every evening at dinner time, everyone would bring their bowls and leech off Elder Liu's TV. Tonight was no exception. When everyone saw Ni Yang on the TV, they were stunned. My goodness! Isn't that Yang Yang? Yes. It's Yang Yang. Look at the introduction below, Beijing City and Jinghua Village jurisdiction. Yang Yang is so amazing. I always knew Yang Yang's mom was lucky. The happiest person was the village chief. A national top scholar came from their village. How could the village chief not be happy? He was just about to visit the Ni family to offer his congratulations when the officials came, saying that journalists would arrive tomorrow for an interview in Scholar Village and asked the scholar to prepare. Scholar Village. The moment the village chief heard those 3 words, he felt like he was floating. Although it was Ni Yang who had become the top scholar, the village chief also felt honored. The entire village felt honored. Especially when he heard that their village would be on TV tomorrow, the village chief was even more excited. Ni Yang had always been their village's lucky star, and now she was the pride of their village. The village chief rushed to the Ni family to discuss the matter with Ni Yang. When the village chief arrived, the Ni family's living room was packed with villagers who had come to offer their congratulations. Everyone was thrilled to hear that their village would be on TV tomorrow. The next day, as promised, journalists came to Jinghua Village for the interview. They casually interviewed a villager from Jinghua Village. Oh, you mean Yang Yang? Yang Yang has always been very polite and especially filial. If my boy were even half as outstanding as Yang Yang, I could die with my eyes closed. Are you here to see Sister Ni Yang? We are all Sister Ni Yang's protectors. Yes, we all especially love Sister Ni Yang. Yang Yang is a good child. Across Jinghua Village, regardless of gender or age, whenever Ni Yang was mentioned, everyone's face would light up with a genuine smile from the heart. This alone made it clear that Ni Yang was truly outstanding. This was what it truly meant to be excellent in character and learning. In no time, Ni Yang had become the proverbial child of someone else that all the parents talked about. She also became a role model for the contemporary youth to follow. In the blink of an eye, another 5 days had passed. Ni Yang hadn't visited the mall to check the accounts for 5 days, and taking advantage of the nice weather today, she cycled to the city. The top scholar of the entire country had quite the influence, and several employees recognized her when she went to check the accounts at the department store. Although Lu Ru had just arrived in Beijing, she had made quite a few good friends there, and upon their recommendations, she had become a fan of the department store's products. Because the products from the department store were just too good to use. As she was queuing, she suddenly spotted a familiar figure. That despicable girl. Light flashed in Lu Ru's eyes as she tugged at her companion's sleeve. Yaya, wait here for me, I've got something to take care of real quick. Okay, Leah nodded. Lu Ru ran out to the mall entrance in one breath and found a public phone booth to make a call. Hello. Brother. Hurry to the Jinghua department store, I've spotted that despicable girl from that day. Lu Qi said, Xiaoru, you mustn't be impolite like last time, nor are you allowed to call her a despicable girl again. I'll be right there. Lu Qi was quick to act, he hung up the phone and drove over. Lu Ru pointed and said, Bro, look, that's her over there. The most beautiful one? Lu Qi squinted his eyes. Lu Ru reluctantly nodded. Lu Qi touched his chin and said, she doesn't seem as rude as you described. From Lu Ru's descriptions, Lu Qi had almost believed the other person to be an unruly woman. He hadn't expected her to be so attractive in person. Chapter 933, She's Not That Kind of Person, Second Update, sit down and eat. Ni frowned inconspicuously except when she couldn't avoid social niceties. She didn't have a fondness for dining and chatting with strangers. If you have something to say, just say it, Ni said lightly, pointing to the rest chairs in the mall. We can go sit there. Ni had an intuition that this brother and sister were here for the bracelet. Oh, all right, Lu Qi said as he took Lu Ru's hand and walked over. These days, the mall's rest chairs were very simple. Lu Ru sat on the chair reluctantly. If looks could kill, Lu Qi would have died hundreds of times by now. Usually, her brother was quite reliable, but she hadn't expected him to turn into this upon meeting a pretty girl. Just say what you have to say, Ni broke the silence, being the first to speak up. Lu Qi pondered for a moment before saying, well, comrade, may I boldly ask where you bought the bracelet on your hand? Is there a problem with my bracelet? Ni's brows and eyes were clear and bright. Lu Qi cleared his throat and continued, it's like this, there's a long-lost elder in our family whose bracelet is identical to yours. So, we are wondering if the person who sold you the bracelet could be our elder. Ni followed, are you that sure that the bracelet is your family elder's? Look at this, Lu Qi said. As he spoke, Lu Qi took out an old photo, which didn't capture a person, but a jade bracelet. Although it was a black and white photo, the details were captured very clearly. Anyone who knew their stuff would recognize at first glance that the two bracelets were one and the same. Ni took the photo and scrutinized it carefully. After a moment, she handed the photo back to Lu Qi. Lu Qi took back the photo. Comrade, what do you think? Can you believe what I said now? This bracelet truly belongs to my family elder, and frankly, it's also our family heirloom. Comrade, can you tell me where the person who sold you the bracelet is now? Could it be that Lu Qi and Lu Ru were Grandma Liu's descendants? But they didn't look anything like Grandma Lu. Ni's expression remained cool. What relation is that elder to you? Lu Qi said, she's my aunt. Aunt. Normally a term of respect for one's father's brother's wife. Could it be that they were all Grandma Liu's nephews and nieces? Grandma Lu was currently all alone. If she could find family, that would be nice. Ni continued, I can't just take your word for it, I need to go back and verify. I think you just don't want to return that bracelet. Lu Ru interrupted, do you realize that bracelet is our family heirloom? What you're doing is theft. It was just too shameless. They had made it so clear, yet she still didn't want to return the bracelet. Lu Qi frowned, Xiaoru. Don't be so impolite. Comrade, I'm sorry, my sister is just like this. Lu Ru could be angered to death by Lu Qi. If she had known it would turn out like this, she wouldn't have called him over. Good for nothing whose loyalties lie elsewhere. That bracelet is originally our family heirloom. Ni wasn't upset and looked up at Lu Ru. Why don't you just claim the entire mall is your family heirloom then? Legally, what you're doing is called slander. Lu Ru was left speechless. Too outrageous. This shameless girl was really just too much. Seeing Lu Ru's mood worsening, Lu Qi quickly pushed her behind him and smiled apologetically to Ni. Don't be angry with her, comrade. My sister, she just didn't grow a brain, you shouldn't stoop to her level. Ni, sensing Lu Qi's attitude was still decent, continued, to tell you the truth, my bracelet was also given to me by an elder from my family. I'll go back and ask her, and check the situation. If it turns out you are telling the truth, I'll let you know her address. By the way, do you know her name? Lu Qi said, I don't know my aunt's name, but she would definitely know my father's name, he is Lu Haoshan. Ni nodded slightly, okay, I got it. I'll tell her once I get back. Thank you for your trouble, Lu Qi continued, do you mind telling me your name? Instead of answering directly, Ni asked, will you have time tomorrow? Yes, Lu Qi nodded instinctively. Ni took a watch out of her pocket and checked the time, then let's meet here at the same time tomorrow afternoon. Agreed, it's settled then," Lu Qi nodded again. Hum. After saying this, Ni Yang turned and walked away. Lu Qi watched Ni Yang's departing figure, his lips curved into a silly smile. "Brother, why did you just let her go like that?" Lu Ru was nearly fuming with anger. Lu Qi didn't turn back as he spoke. "Didn't she say she would come again tomorrow?" Lu Ru said in exasperation, "You believe what a woman says? Who knows if she will show up tomorrow afternoon?" Lu Qi said firmly, "She's not that kind of person." Chapter 934, Great Beauty. Siblings? Some people, just by looking at their faces, you can tell their character. Lu Qi believed that Ni Yang was not one of those people. Lu Ru snorted coldly, "You speak as if you know her so well." "I am going back to tell our parents, let them break your legs." Ni Yang didn't linger in the mall. After meeting siblings Lu Qi and Lu Ru, she went to visit Grandma Lu. Grandma Lu was holding Depang in her arms, watching Huang Mei opera. The opera, Meng Jianghu's bitter weeping at the Great Wall, brought tears to Grandma Liu's eyes. "Grandma Lu." Ni Yang gently tapped on the wooden door. "It's you, Yang Yang." Grandma Lu turned around, wiping her tears. Depang meowed, leaping from Grandma Liu's lap onto Ni Yang. "Come, have a seat." Grandma Lu patted the small bamboo chair beside her. Ni Yang walked over and sat down. After some small talk, Ni Yang brought up the important matter. "Grandma Lu, do you know Lu Haoshan?" "Lu Haoshan?" Grandma Lu frowned, "I don't know him." "Could you think about it a bit more?" Ni Yang continued. Grandma Lu shook her head, "I still don't recognize that name, Yang Yang. Why are you asking about this Lu Haoshan all of a sudden?" Then, Ni Yang mentioned the matter concerning siblings Lu Qi and Lu Ru. "Their heirloom?" Grandma Lu said angrily, "What kind of people are these siblings? When did my bracelet become their heirloom?" "Yang Yang, don't pay attention to them. This bracelet has always been mine, nobody else's heirloom." Ni Yang continued, "Grandma Lu, could it be possible that they are your long-lost relatives? Their father is called Lu Haoshan. Are you sure you don't know Lu Haoshan?" Grandma Lu firmly shook her head, "I may be old, but am not senile. I'm certain I do not know Lu Haoshan. I suspect they just want to swindle your bracelet, Yang Yang, don't let them deceive you." Aside from her parents, Grandma Lu had 3 older brothers, 1 younger brother, 8 sisters-in-law, and about a dozen nieces and nephews, all lost during the war. Some died, some disappeared. That year of the war, Grandma Lu had been newly married when the sudden conflict took her husband's life. Whenever she recalled these memories, it became hard for Grandma Lu to breathe. Grandma Lu wiped her eyes, continuing, "Now, I'm just a lonely old widow. I don't have any relatives left." Ni Yang took out a handkerchief to wipe Grandma Liu's eyes. "Grandma Lu, don't be sad. Aren't you still have me?" "Yes." Grandma Lu nodded. She felt fortunate to have met Ni Yang in her twilight years. Had it not been for Ni Yang, she might have been gone from this world long ago. In old age, even a common cold or fever could be life-threatening. Once, Grandma Lu had lain in bed for 3 days with a fever. If Ni Yang hadn't come to see her, the grass over her grave would be several meters high by now. Chapter 935, Great Beauty. Siblings? Lu Qi continued, "This is my father, and this is my mother." Ni Yang was taken aback. Before Lu Qi introduced them, she had thought that the white-haired old man was Lu Qi's grandfather, and that the middle-aged woman and that man were father and daughter. But it turned out they were husband and wife. It really was an odd match. Lu Qi added, "My parents are very concerned about my aunt's condition, so they came with me. Please don't mind, comrade. Ni Yang smiled politely and greeted Lu Qi's parents. Lu Qi then introduced Ni Yang to his parents. Mom, Dad, this comrade is the one who might know about my aunt. Seeing Ni Yang, Liu's father was visibly excited, eyes reddening. Young comrade, what's your name? With an apologetic expression, Ni Yang said, Uncle, I might disappoint you. I checked with my family's elder last night. She said she does not know you or Lu Haoshan. How could this be? Lu Ru's face changed. I think you haven't even told my aunt. You just want to keep our family heirloom for yourself. Xiaoru. Liu's father frowned, scolding Lu Ru. Liu's father had never lost his temper with Lu Ru before. This was the first time. Startled, Lu Ru immediately shut her mouth, glaring resentfully at Ni Yang. Wretched girl. Liu's father looked at Ni Yang and continued, Young comrade, there are too many twists and turns that I cannot explain to you all. Could you please tell me where she is now? Once she sees me, she will recognize me. Liu's father had a premonition that the elder Ni Yang mentioned was the person they were looking for. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you, Ni Yang shook her head. Little comrade, Liu's mother grabbed Ni Yang's hand, crying profusely, we have been looking for our child's aunt for decades. Over the years, we haven't eaten nor slept well. She has suffered so much alone, and now she is old, we want to bring her back to enjoy her twilight years. Please, young comrade, would you do us this favor? I'm begging you. Liu's mother covered her face as she cried, while discreetly eyeing the jade bracelet on Ni Yang's wrist. Exquisite, clear, its brilliant verdant color interspersed with streaks of translucent white. Smooth and flawless. It was a top-grade jade. This was their family's heirloom. How could it have ended up on someone else's wrist? Liu's mother wished she could remove the jade bracelet from Ni Yang's wrist that very moment. Ni Yang said, Auntie, you're really mistaken. My family's elder is not the person you're looking for. Perhaps it was because Liu's mother looked somewhat like Dr. Jiang that Ni Yang had no particularly good feelings toward her. Moreover, since Liu's mother was asking about Dr. Jiang's whereabouts, this meant Dr. Jiang must have some connection to her. The saying about the company one keeps influencing one's behavior is not without basis. Chapter 937, Great Beauty. Siblings? _4. He did want Ni Yang to set a trap for him. If Ni Yang was willing to set a trap, he would definitely jump right into it. But the problem was, she simply didn't bother to do so. Lu Qi was very self-aware and had a good eye for people. He could tell that Ni Yang was different from the other girls he had met before. Liu's mother glanced at Lu Qi and then said, I don't care, but let me say this up front, my future daughter-in-law must be chosen by me personally. Not just anyone can enter the Lu family's door. I know, Lu Qi replied in a muffled voice. Liu's father timely interjected, that young lady just now, she isn't that kind of person, went on, you and Xiaoru, if you meet her again, make sure not to say anything rude. Who knows, all these years, your aunt may have relied on that young lady quite a bit. Liu's father could see that Ni Yang was not the type of girl who was greedy for money. Jiao Wentong always followed her husband's advice, and upon hearing this, she nodded and said, yes, I know. My sister has suffered so much over the years, I'm fully aware. I'm not targeting that young girl we just met, I'm just worried that our Xiaoqi might be deceived. You know how naive our child has been since he was young, unaware of how much he's been taken advantage of by girls. After speaking, Jiao Wentong continued, I wonder how my sister is doing now. Whether she's healthy? I really want to bring her here to stay with us soon, to let her enjoy a few good years. Liu's father sighed. From the looks of that young comrade, she probably hasn't suffered much this year. Lu Ru chimed in, almost every day, Mom prays for blessings for my aunt, even after coming to Beijing, she has not stopped. Surely heaven has been moved by my mom's sincere heart, that's why my aunt hasn't suffered. Jiao Wentong said a bit embarrassedly, Xiaoru, what are you talking about? It's only right for me to pray for blessings for your aunt. Liu's father patted Jiao Wentang's hand. Wentong, you've worked hard these years. Xiaoru is right, it must be your sincere heart that touched heaven. Jiao Wentong simply smiled without speaking. At this moment, not replying was the best reply. Following behind, Lu Qi said speechlessly, Mom and Dad, can we please stop promoting superstitious beliefs? If heaven really could be moved by my mom, then our whole family wouldn't need to work, no one in the entire country would need to work. We could all just sit at home and pray for blessings every day. It's up to us to make things happen. If Auntie didn't have someone to take care of her, who knows what might have happened by now. Upon hearing this, Jiao Wentong felt a surge of anger in her chest, stuck somewhere between rising and falling, making her very uncomfortable. Always ruining her moment. Is this really her own son? Although she had sensitive skin, she washed her face very carefully with the face wash as per the instructions when she took a shower in the evening. Then, she applied aloe vera gel, acne cream, and hydrating moisturizer in sequence. These products felt cool and comfortable on her skin, without the stinging sensation she had anticipated, which surprised Du Jiaojiao. It seemed that Ice Jade Skin, although a domestic brand, was much better than she had expected. Du Jiaojiao was looking forward to the future results. Elsewhere. Inside the mansion. Jiao Wentong sat at the edge of the bed massaging Lu's father's feet, and the two reminisced about events from decades ago. Your older sister was a rare good woman. I wonder if, over these years, she's remarried or not. Haoshan, do you think if your sister has married again, she would still return home with us? Lu's father shook his head. She's not that kind of person. Women who came out of that era had fidelity etched into their bones. Once married, they followed their husbands, and if their husbands died, they followed their sons. They valued their chastity more than their lives and would absolutely not remarry. Go back 60 years earlier, and you'd still hear talk of the chastity arch. Jiao Wentong nodded. I also feel that your sister isn't that kind of person. Lu's father sighed. These years, it's I who have let her down. It's a time of war and chaos, none of this is your fault, Jiao Wentong reassured. Your sister is so kind-hearted, I believe she will understand your predicament. Lu's father sighed again, I hope so. Jiao Wentong smiled and said, don't worry, your sister definitely won't blame you. By the way, Haoshan, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. Go ahead, Lu's father said, massaging his temples. Jiao Wentong continued, I've made up my mind. If your sister has not remarried all these years and doesn't have any children, I'm considering adopting Xiaoru out to her. Jiao Wentong was a clever woman, she knew that after adopting Lu Ru to Grandma Lu, she wouldn't be at a loss. Ni Yang didn't continue the topic and then said, are your parents free now? If not, I can leave the address with you. If they are, I can take you there now to avoid you having trouble finding it later. Lu Qi eagerly nodded, free. They're free. Come inside with me, and I'll go tell my parents right away. They'll be very happy to hear this news. Ni Yang followed Lu Qi inside. The mansion the Lu family lived in was extraordinarily luxurious. Without certain status and position, one really couldn't live in such a place. The servant was very courteous and hurriedly brewed tea for Ni Yang. Lu Qi then said, Ni Yang, you wait here for a moment, I'll go find my parents. They're upstairs. Okay, Ni Yang nodded. Upstairs. Lu father and Jiao Wentong, upon hearing the news, were very happy. They were planning to sleep in, but now they didn't feel like sleeping anymore and quickly got dressed. Xiaoqi, go call your sister. Got it. Lu Qi went to Zaira's room. Xiaoru also changed her lazy attitude, and upon hearing that they could go to Grandma Liu's place, she got up at once. Knowing Grandma Liu liked the delicate damsel type, she even specifically changed into the cheongsam she had bought last time. After calling everyone, Lu Qi went downstairs. Ni Yang, just wait a little longer, they'll be down soon. Okay, Ni Yang picked up the cup and took a sip of tea. Chapter 944, The Truth Emerging from the Surface _4. The sudden joy made Granny Liu's head spin. Qinian, who is this? Could it be a relative from Lu Qinian's family? Lu Qinian turned to look at Ni Yang, hesitating. There are some things I can't say in front of outsiders. Granny Lu wiped her tears. Yang is not an outsider, she's no different from my own granddaughter. Just say it directly, you don't need to hesitate. Lu Qinian remained silent. In his eyes, Ni Yang was an outsider. Ni Yang wasn't the kind of person who couldn't read the room. She smiled and said, Granny Lu, I still have some issues at home to handle, I'll come and visit you later. Granny Lu grabbed Ni Yang's hand. Yang, you don't have to leave. Having Ni Yang leave at such a moment would only hurt her feelings. Granny Lu genuinely didn't consider Ni Yang an outsider. Zhao Shuiyue. Liu's father's expression clearly seemed off. Seeing this, Ni Yang still decided to leave. If she insisted on staying, it would make her uncomfortable, and so would the Lu family. Besides, their home was close to Granny Liu's. If anything really happened, she could still rush over to help her. After Ni Yang left, Liu's father sighed in relief. Granny Lu pushed open the half-closed door. Come in and sit with me. The house was dilapidated, but it was kept very clean, and there was even a TV in the living room. Jiao Wentong carefully surveyed the environment. The fact that there was a 3,000 yuan TV showed that the old woman still had a fair amount of money. Granny Lu was busy pouring water for everyone. Jiao Wentong hurried over to help. Let me help you with that, sister. The tea set at Granny Liu's was quite old, though clean, making Liu's father somewhat hesitant to drink from it. He hadn't used such worn-out cups in many years. Considering the state of the house, who knew if it had been crawled over by rats? Liu's father was hesitant, and Lu Ru, who was used to living comfortably, was even more so. Lu Qi, however, didn't mind. He was thirsty and picked up the cup to drink. Auntie, this tea is wonderful. Is it barley tea? Granny Lu nodded and smiled. Yes, it's barley tea. If you like it, I can pack some for you to take when you leave. I have plenty here. With that, Granny Lu turned to Liu's father. Qinian, can you talk now? Who are these children to you? How have you really been all these years? Hearing this, Liu's father sighed deeply, his face full of pain. He began to talk about his difficult past years, how he braved gunfire and crossed seas alone to reach Taiwan Island, and there achieved some success. Thankfully, in my most difficult and helpless times, I met Wentong. Wentong is a good woman. She didn't mind my age or that I had been married before, and she took great care of me. Without her, I might have died. After we got married, Wentong gave birth to 2 children, one named Lu Qi and the other Lu Ru. Xiaoqi, Xiaoru, come and greet your auntie. Hello, auntie. Lu Qi and Lu Ru approached Granny Lu. Granny Lu was stunned. She hadn't expected Lu Qinian to have remarried. Not only had he remarried, but he also had 2 children. Her years of waiting seemed, at that moment, to become a joke. Hearing this, Granny Lu staggered backwards, nearly falling, but Lu Qi promptly steadied her. Auntie, are you all right? I'm fine. Granny Lu waved her hand and looked up at Lu Qi. Child, do you know what my last name is? Lu? Lu Qi guessed. It should be Lu, right? Otherwise, why would an Yang call her Granny Lu? No, Granny Lu shook her head, her tone ambiguous between sadness and joy. My surname is Zhao Shuyue. I called myself by the Lu surname because my late husband was a Lu. Yes. Lu Qinian was her husband. They were a couple who had gone through the formal wedding rites. Old-time women adhered to the principle of following their husband, and after his death, their son. Especially for Zhao Shuyue, coming from a prominent family, this concept was deeply ingrained. War took her family and husband, and a famine forced her to leave the place she had grown up in, to live incognito in Jianghu village, assuming the name Lu Zhao. Nobody knew that she had had her own name. She was Zhao Shuyue.